This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio with Stuart Cameron.
Hello and welcome to Rugby Radio, a few hours later than expected. Sadly, our planned coverage of the games between Herets and Ayr and Hawick against Melrose in the Premiership haven't materialised today, thanks to the cold snap that we've been having over the past few days. But our third game definitely does go ahead. It's a very special match indeed, up at the Hive in Edinburgh, in the shadow of the National Stadium at Murrayfield. And for the first time in 10 years, Scotland A take to the field in a game on Scottish soil. And their opponents are Chile, so we can go over to the Hive now and join our reporter Hugh Brown.
Thank you very much indeed, Stuart. Good evening. Welcome to the Hive, as you say, at the back side of the main Murrayfield Stadium. Weather tonight, well, it's quite misty actually, dry though. The pitch looks in remarkably good condition considering the weather conditions we have had here in Edinburgh today. There are piles of snow at the side of the pitch, which obviously the volunteers have swept off. There's a dusting of snow on the far side, but otherwise the pitch looks in really good nick actually.
Well, I mentioned it's been 10 years since Scotland A have played on home territory, but of course they have played Chile in a fixture not so long ago.
They did. They actually played them in 2022, summer 2022, when they defeated Chile by 45 points to 5. That was, of course, across in Santiago. You mentioned it's been 10 years since Scotland A last played at home, and that was a 16-all draw with the England Saxons. What a wonderful team that was at Scotstoun through in Glasgow 10 years ago.
So the big question is, why has the A team been reinstated?
Well, I suppose, Stuart, the revival of the A team is at the heart of the SRU's new performance pathway for the men's game. And I suppose the ultimate aim of that is returning the national side to the top 5 of the world rankings and keeping them there for the next decade or so. As you well know, Scotland are currently lying 6th in the world, which is fantastic, just behind South Africa, Ireland, New Zealand, France and Argentina, and above many other very, very good teams, including Australia. And as far as Chile are concerned, well, they're much further down the rankings.
Yeah, number 21, isn't it?
It is 21st, in fact, in the world rankings. The Chile side themselves, very interesting. Some fascinating fact. I know you like your fascinating facts, Stuart, because among the Chile matchday squad, there are 17 players who ply their trade at home, no fewer than 15 of them with Selknam in Super Rugby Americas. And 18 of the Chilean matchday squad have previously played against either Scotland or Scotland A, including 16 of the 23 from the test match during the summer, who return for this encounter here at the Hive this evening.
Well, the match kicks off at 6 o'clock today. As we can hear in the background, there's plenty of activity going on. We're about 27 minutes away. Our commentary team is Stuart McFarlane and Matty Douglas, and you'll be chatting to them shortly. But before then, you'll be having a few words with a few people in the build-up.
Yes, absolutely. And with me on my left-hand side is former Scotland international Chris Paterson. Chris, welcome to Rugby Radio.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, and welcome to Scotland A against Chile. What do you make of this game then? Is this an important game tonight?
Any time you pull on your national jersey, it's just huge importance, and there's a lot of young players getting an opportunity. It's even one or two more experienced players as well. But as you quite rightly say, it's a big part of the performance pathway to have more A fixtures for both Edinburgh and Glasgow, and obviously with a national team as well. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of players. It takes a lot of work. Obviously, we're in the middle of 4 international fixtures in consecutive weeks. You go, I think, 5 days. Well, 6 days time for now, 5 days time from the game tomorrow, Glasgow play, and then Edinburgh play next weekend as well. So it's a big toll. So one of the reasons you probably haven't had more A fixtures is just that pool for professional players to be with their clubs. But this window works, it suits. They've got some players that were playing last weekend, full test match rugby against Portugal playing this evening, and they've got younger players coming through. So it's really important that players are exposed to meaningful fixtures. And you say that you mentioned Chile. I think there's about 12 or 13 of the other 23 this evening played against Scotland in a full test match in the summer. So it'll be hopefully be competitive, hopefully be a high quality. And I think we've lucked out with the conditions compared to what it was like about 3 or 4 hours ago here. The pitch is immaculate. It's always a 4G surface, and here's hoping that it stays dry. It's about the first time I've ever been at Hive and it's not been windy, so we've lucked out with the wind as well. Dead calm, and looking forward to a decent game.
I'm sure we'll get that as well between Scotland and Chile, Scotland A and Chile. I suppose that the question is, how disappointed will the players that are on the pitch tonight playing for Scotland A be that they've not actually been selected for the full Scotland squad to play Australia tomorrow?
Yeah, not disappointed now, but quite rightly disappointed possibly on Sunday or Monday morning when they found out. and quite right. I mean, you want to be disappointed. You want to be involved in the full test matches. So yeah, but then the skill becomes like using that disappointment to drive a positive performance, to drive a positive attitude. It's the next opportunity to play. And Peter Horan said through the week, who's head coach of the Scotland A side this evening, and is part of the national management team as well. This will be valued massively from the coaches and the selectors and the national management team when it comes to looking at Six Nations squad selection, as will the next few professional games with Edinburgh and Glasgow and all the exile clubs. So this is an opportunity for the 23 playing tonight to lay down a marker in an international jersey to force selection and come January, February time when the Six Nations kicks off.
I suppose what you're saying then, Chris, this is a shop window for them then to prove to Gregor Townsend that they deserve to be in that Six Nations squad.
Absolutely. As has the last 3 or 4 weeks for the players who've been involved in the squad. There's obviously was it 8 or 10 more came in just on Monday, but the A team have trained alongside and against the national team for 2 days this week. So all these opportunities to get, whether it's training, whether it's an opportunity to perform in a game or a national game, these are all opportunities that you as a player you have to take, and you can set a good example. And the game moves quickly and players move quickly, and there'll be players this evening who will catch an eye, who will be involved come February. So that's the attitude. Yes, initially you want to be playing in the big stadium just over my shoulder, but you're not. You're here in the A game, and you give it your all, and you represent your country in your jersey, and you hope to progress.
Do you think there were any surprises about who was left out of the squad for tomorrow and who actually is playing tonight?
I was a bit surprised at Jamie Dobie. I think Jamie's been really good. He's played starting scum half this evening, obviously. I thought he might be involved in the national squad. Stafford McDowell captained last week as well. But I probably Jamie would be the one that I thought would be most likely to be involved in the 23. But as you all know, Jamie is a wonderful rugby player. He plays scum half. He can play in the way. He's a scum half, but he can play equally on the wing. Where he's probably needed to get opportunities is starting games at scrum half. So again, it just underlines what we're saying. Is it a better opportunity for Jamie Dobie to start an A Test match and control it and impose himself on it, or is it better for him to come off the bench potentially 20 minutes, 30 minutes, tomorrow in a Test match? And he's played a lot in the wing through Glasgow, and he's played in the wing for Scotland in the summer as well. But here's a chance for him to try and do what he's not done a huge amount of in his starting international fixtures as a 9.
What kind of opposition do you think Chile will be tonight? As we mentioned, they're 21st in the world ranking, Scotland sitting in 6th. On paper, Scotland should win this one quite comfortably. Yeah, I mean, as I said before, I think it's 12 or 13 of these players were involved against the full Test match in the summer. They had a really disappointing result last week. They lost to Netherlands last week, who were 5 or 6 or 7 places below them in the world rankings, and that was a shock because a week before that they'd beaten Canada by 44 points to 10, which was a record victory for them. So you say 21st in the world rankings, sandwiched between Romania in 20th and Hong Kong, China, I think in 22nd, but Tonga are 19th. So, and there's an opposition that you can challenge. International rugby at whatever level is determined by small margins, and this will be no different. The score in the end, may be a bigger discrepancy, but there'll be moments in the game that determine who wins and loses it. And the Chileans have the ability to be in the game. Their discipline will have to be good. When you play away from home, when you play against potentially a stronger side, your discipline has to be number one. You can't allow easy ends and easy opportunities for the home side. So I think if they focus on their discipline, and that's not just foul play, that's discipline in terms of their accurate execution of their set piece. There's some big men, they're good over ball in and around the breakdown, so the discipline and their skill level have to be good. But this will be a test for the young Scotland A side. Scotland A are on a 7-match unbeaten run that stretches way back to the Nations Championship in 2010, so that's a good record. They'll want to extend that to 8 wins tonight.
Of course they will. Absolutely. At home, the opportunity to pull on that jersey, of course they will. And I mean, just watching them warm up, they look really cohesive because they have had most of the players have been training together for a month or so they'll want that cohesion, they'll want to start well, and ultimately they'll want to end with a victory.
And who should we watch out for tonight? I mean, obviously Stafford McDowell is the skipper tonight. Is he a good choice to lead the team?
Yeah, he's I mean, I thought he did a good job last week. He's led Glasgow really well. He's vocal, he's assertive, he's strong, his basics are excellent. He's a good communicator. So Stafford he'll get his hands on the ball a lot as well, and he'll control a lot. Equally happy at playing standoff and fullback and everywhere else. So he's that type of player who can organise really well. But Freddie Douglas is the name that jumps to mind as well. Obviously, the 19-year-old who got his first cap last week. Ben Muncaster got his first cap last week. He's playing their share of back row positions as well. So I think Freddie Douglas will be one to watch. And I suppose Aaron Reid playing at fullback, 2 tries last weekend against Portugal. Super fast flying winger. Hasn't played a huge amount of fullback, but I think his counter-attacking ability will be, will hopefully be a positive this evening.
There's a lot of experience in the main squad. I think where there's a lack of experience is in the replacements.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, really quite young. And again, I think that'll be deliberate. There's Ben Healy in there with a bit of test match experience, but there's also quality. I mean, sometimes we talk about experience and we assume players who don't have a huge amount of experience aren't quality. I mean, Harry Morris, when he comes on at hooker, keep an eye out for him because he is physical, he's fast, he'll be all over the place. Mikey Jones has had a good he's been injured over the last couple of years, but had a good future in terms of Finn Richardson played a couple of warm-up games for Glasgow this year. He's moved up from Exeter University to Glasgow, and he was really impressive in warm-up games for Glasgow, and I'm surprised he hasn't had more opportunities. Ben Afshar's a really quality scrum half as well. Jack Brown's out of school 2 years ago, so there's youth there, but there's quality. Can they deliver? Can they do it under pressure? Can they do it in international colours? Well, this is the perfect opportunity for them to show that they can.
I suppose that's my next question. How do you think it'll go tonight? Are Scotland going to get that victory?
I think they will. I think they'll be. I think they'll start well. I think they'll be cohesive, defensively sound, and I think Peter Hall will have them in the perfect place to hopefully pick up a victory.
Let's look ahead to tomorrow then, to the Australia match. I mean, Scotland are above Australia in the world rankings. Not that means a huge amount, because certainly the Wallabies will want to turn over Scotland, but Scotland equally well will want to finish the autumn test on a high. Yeah,
it's a really important game for both sides actually. Australia are very good. They're very, very good. I think even the changes have made, I wouldn't say it weakens them because of quality, but it maybe disrupts their balance a little bit from the team that played last week, but they got so much confidence from the first 2 games, or the last 2 victories. They're a really direct team. They hold possession for a long time. The Valentini, Skelton, Ikitau, they're powerful ball carriers that get them on the front foot, and then they allow the Stardust to find chinks in the armour or find half gaps in the defence once that defence is retreating. So I think they'll be quite direct. I think they'll look to hold on to a lot of possession, and they'll pose Scotland a lot of it. If Scotland win tomorrow, that's a big victory. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think people will just expect Scotland to beat Australia, but that is a quality Australian side, and if Scotland do win tomorrow, that is a good victory.
And we are only a few months away from the 2025 Six Nations Championship. Seems amazing, but you're not going to get through Christmas and New Year first, but it's not that far away.
No.
Scotland are being touted as being one of the favourites to not only do well but actually win the Six Nations. Is that a possibility at all?
Well, we haven't won it. So that tells you how hard it is.
I think with England doing so badly just now.
The Six Nations is an incredible tournament. It is really, really difficult. The intensity of the short duration of it, the importance of a good start, it is really important. But to win an international test, it takes a huge amount of effort, commitment, bravery, and quality. To do that, back up time and time again, you need to avoid injuries. You need to get in a good run. Scotland have the ability to, I believe, to beat every side that they come up against. Doing it consecutively is a big ask, but I think they're as well prepared as they have been for a good number of years. Especially if there's a victory tomorrow and there's a victory tonight, and that depth gets deeper and deeper. So if you do pick up injuries in the Six Nations, you've got more to fall back on. But it's a big ask to win a tournament. But that'll be the goal.
And I think it's fair to say that the Scotland squad overall are quite a young squad, because one of the oldest players in the team, the only player I think over the age of 30, is Jamie Batty.
This evening?
No, of the squad.
They are, and again, it's quite young but with quite a lot of experience. I think of somebody like Jamie Ritchie, who's still a reasonably young player but has a lot of experience, and you need that mix. You need that mix of quality. You need that bit of luck. You need that experience. You need that age. And Scotland are building that type of squad. But I'll say again that the Six Nations it's a brutal competition. It's brilliant to be part of, but it's really difficult to win.
So you're predicting a win tonight and a win tomorrow?
Yes.
We'll hold you to that.
Please do.
Chris Paterson, former Scottish International, thank you for joining us on
worries.
Rugby Radio. Very nice to speak to you this evening. Right, Stuart, so that's set the scene here at the Hive. Very shortly I'll be chatting to our Rugby Radio colleague Dale Clancy, who'll be joining me, but for the moment back to you.
Yes, indeed, we'll get some words from Dale Clancy as well. Of course, Matty Douglas is there today. If you've just joined us today, of course, our planned coverage of Heriots and Ayr and Hawick against Melrose in the Premiership was iced off, as was the complete programme across the division, so no rugby involved today at all in Clubland. But as I say, we're going to turn our attention to next week, where the forecast is a lot better. Obviously, a director from the SIU today advising not to travel meant that we effectively had no rugby at all, but you've got to put safety first.
Yeah, you do. I think looking at the games that were off yesterday already, and then I think there'd probably be a few games waiting to last minute. I think Hawick they'd be hoping their game was on, but when the directive came out, the Curry game was off as well, so no rugby in Clubland today.
Now, of course, you're not involved with any club at the moment. How are you finding the season as a spectator?
It's different, but no, it's been really good, to be fair. I've enjoyed getting around different games. We're just a wee bit unfortunate our South fixture in December is cancelled just due to numbers and people heading away back for Christmas. We went to play Edinburgh, but no, it's been good. I think being able to stand back and watch for a bit, it's just open my eyes a little bit to what personally I want to achieve in the future, and I'll hopefully not be out the game too long.
Dale is now with us here, Dale Clancy, and Dale, what do you make of tonight's match then against Chile?
Yeah, it's a great occasion. It's great to see a lot of these players that obviously we've seen over this autumn international window get a chance to gel, and a little glimpse into the future as well. A lot of good young players. I'm looking forward to seeing Liam McConnell come off the bench as well. I think in the under-20s trophy during the summer he was a standout for the country, and alongside Freddie Douglas and Tom Curry they made up a great partnership in the back row. So a lot of good young players to look out for, and it's a test against an adult national team. It's really going to be a step up for these individuals here.
Do you think Scotland, Chris Paterson believes that Scotland can win tonight and tomorrow, do you agree with him?
I think both games are going to be tough. I think as long as the team can gel quickly for an A fixture, then I think they are favourites for this game, but tomorrow's going to be difficult. Australia have played phenomenally well over the autumn international period, so it's going to be a completely different game to last week against Portugal. It's going to be a challenge, but I think on home soil you've got to back Scotland. You've got to fancy their chances at home.
I want to go back to Matty again just for a second, because we want to look at the game. Earlier on today we'd never have thought this game was going to be on because of the weather conditions in Edinburgh. I think the ground staff have done a fantastic job to get the pitch looking so fantastic, haven't they? Yeah, they have. There's obviously a bit of snow, and speaking to Chris Paterson earlier, I think it was a blanket of snow on the pitch, so they've done very well, and they've worked extremely hard to make sure that tonight goes ahead. But look, the weather conditions have improved massively through the day. Just saying that to Stuart before the snow this morning, you'd be doubting if he could even make it to Edinburgh, and touching on why games were off, you can see why the directive was to not to travel. There's a lot of teams Mar were through to the capital today, so there's a lot of teams would have to leave early, so it's a right call. But the stands filling up here at Hive on both sides, so I think tonight is a great opportunity for the Scotland A side to kick on a bit. And talking of the weather this morning, speaking with your coach's hat on, you'd be the first port of call if for the team and everybody in terms of the weather and whether the game was on or off. How would you approach that, knowing that the game might be off rather than going ahead? Well, look, safety comes first, Hugh. However, as a coach, you want that game on a Saturday, and speaking for experience, we've probably one of the biggest games in my coaching career so far at Mansfield against Curry a couple of seasons ago in the final. We sheeted the pitch for a whole week, so as a coach you're doing everything to prepare. Looking at it, the weather's been very cold this week, so a lot of teams would have been either one training inside trying to do what they can, and when you get to that sort of stage your preparation's very poor, but you're just looking towards the Saturday. So as a coach you're wanting the game on. I can imagine there's teams today, there've been coaches who
he'll have wanted to give it to the last minute. You know, probably the Hoyt Melrose game could have easily have been to dinner time, you know, with the distance, but when the SRU step in around the directive of referees and travel, like it's a different ball game, so you just have to accept it, and you know, probably all attention turns to their fixtures next week.
I think, as you say, safety has to come first. Let's have a quick chat about the club game, because so far in the Premiership, I mean, Ayr are just romping away with it, totally unbeaten in all their matches so far.
Yeah, you have to give probably a big plaudit to Ayr. There's been a lot of talk of dropping back for Super 6, but at the end of the day, you have to create a club culture for players to stay at the club. And Ayr, if it doesn't matter if it was in the club game or the Super Rugby, I think a lot of teams are looking with jealousy. With what they've got going and what they can achieve, but you have to give their, take your hat off to them. But at the end of the day, we're only at the turn. It's the fixtures are start again next week, so it's probably one, who's going to topple them. That would, if I'm in that league, I'm wanting to have a go at them. I'm wanting to, especially either at Millbrae or at your home patch. It's who can knock them off the pedestal.
Yeah. And today would have been a very interesting test, because of course Heriots are in second place, and had they played at Golden Acre, that would have gone a long way to deciding what might happen come the new year.
Yeah, it would have, and I think here, I've been to see them a couple of times. I watched them at Selkirk and I watched them at Poinder Park, and for a good while teams are staying with them. You're getting to kind of 60-65 minutes, and the difference what Ayr have got at the minute is their ability to bring like for like off the bench, and I think as a coach to have that in your armoury is it's a massive bonus, and that is how you win championships. You can have a great start in 15, but it's when you get to 60-70 minutes in these bigger, tougher games, you fold under pressure. And to be fair, if you look at Ayr, Heriots or Watsonians, I've probably dealt with that a bit better. So I think Heriots would have definitely give them a, I think that probably would have been the game of the season so far. Especially at Golden Acre, Heriots are a tough team to beat there.
The surprise, I suppose, at the beginning of the season, the early stages, was the poor form of Curry and how they were at one stage at the bottom of the table. They're certainly blowing hot stuff now.
Yeah, they are. I seen that at the start, and I can imagine Mark and the coaching team and probably especially the players would have been very frustrated. They'd not lost anybody. They'd actually improved their squad from last season. Premiership winners. They've turned a corner, and as I say, you never write off Curry. Early season, your integration of these Super 6 teams, or what were Super 6 back in the club game, there's always going to be a bit of seeing teams how they go, what their weaknesses were. But I would say Curry they're under the radar. All the talks on Ayr, Heriots and Watsonians creep into that bracket, but Curry are a team who I've got a lot of respect for, their coaching setup, and they're a team who on any day will beat any of the Super 6 sides, and it showed them beating Watsonians at home. They've still got next weekend is a huge game at Millennium. Ayr have to go there. That is you talk about tough places in Scottish rugby to win. That is a tough place. If Curry are on their game, they're very, very tough to beat at home, and I'm sure Mark will be looking forward to welcoming Ayr next week.
Well, Matty, thank you for the moments. You'll be summarising the game, the Scotland A against Chile game, with our commentator Stuart McFarlane, and we'll be joining them very shortly, right after this short break.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whiskey making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
With over 30 years' experience in print and embroidery, BE Uniforms are one of Scotland's leading rugby teamwear specialists. We currently supply many great clubs across Scotland and the north of England, offering brands such as Adidas, Macron, Canterbury and BE Sport. We have a specialist teamwear team who collectively have over 60 years' experience in the trade, delivering quality teamwear and finding solutions to the challenges out there. If your club is looking for a new supplier and would like to know more, get all the details at beuniforms.co.uk, proud sponsors of Rugby Radio and Borders Rugby TV. BE Uniforms, your identity is our purpose.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Your pet deserves the best, and that's why your pet deserves the care and treatment offered by Border Vets. We focus on delivering the very best care to each and every one of our patients and clients. We get to know you and your pet and offer treatments tailored to every animal's individual needs, from our conveniently located surgeries in Galashiels, Selkirk and Earlston. Ask about our Pet Health Club for your cat or dog, giving you peace of mind by spreading the cost of vaccinations, regular checks and more. From dental care to travelling abroad and the whole range of veterinary services, bordervets.co.uk is where you'll find everything you need to know. Border Vets, where your pets are part of our family.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Scotland A against Chile on Rugby Radio. Let's go to Stuart McFarlane and Matty Douglas.
Good evening, everyone. The mist that was beginning to descend around Murrayfield and it was hugging the north stand of the National Stadium an hour or so ago seems to have abated somewhat, so visibility is not too bad. Chile will get this international underway. They are playing in their familiar colours, the red jerseys with the royal blue shorts, royal blue socks. Scotland in their dark blue jerseys, dark blue shorts and dark blue socks, and Chile playing from right to left in the first half, and they were kicking off there. Luka Strabuki is their starting fullback, and Scotland will be looking for an opportunity to win some ball early on, but it is back with the Chilean scrum half there, and Benjamin Videla, I'm sure will be a central figure in these early stages. Has possession of the ball at the moment in between the 5 and 15 channels, and just on that left hand side is Chile looking to try and make some inroads into the Scotland half of the field. It's back with the scrum half, again taken on by the starting hooker, Diego Escobar. Back once more through that, the half-backs. Cruz Reyes is the fly half. Juan Cruz Reyes, again, he's sitting off, readying himself as his scrum half, right on halfway, looks for the opportunity, uses the outside centre this time. Saavedra, and Chile once more still in possession, so plenty of phases in these early stages, but they've drifted just back inside their own half of the field. Scotland drawing the penalty. 1 minute 20 seconds on the clock, and high time. We got the very early thoughts of this first half from Matty.
Great defensive start by Scotland. I think they've knocked them back about 20 metres there, and they've won the penalty, so there will be a bit of nerves in here, Stuart, I would say, to start. There's a lot of players probably looking to put their hand up probably for selection going into February, March time, so great start, and now they've got early territory.
And the focus very much on the Scotland international setup at the moment, with Australia coming tomorrow, but this fixture squeezed in what is a very busy programme in November at international level. We'll run through the Scotland side at the first available opportunity, but from a line out, that was a good throw there from Hiddleston, aimed towards Marshall Sykes, setting up a platform for Scotland in a central position. Dobie goes in very quickly, looking to ship the ball inside centre. Soft hands there from the skipper McDowell. Now they're looking to bring some pace in. They do so through McCann. The offload to the fullback Aaron Reid, and the Sale Sharks man is in with 2.5 minutes of the first half gone, splitting open the Chilean defence. and Scotland are in for an opening try, and that was a well executed try from a set piece. Matty across on that far side, and very good assured hands from the Scots.
It was a great try, Stuart. I think Tom Doddie's put a couple of massive hits in, and he comes off the top and he makes gain line, and then he saw the performance of Stafford McDowell last week, and he's just created opportunity on the outside. Pulled a lovely pass in the back to Ross Thompson, and Ross McCann's the Sunnybell offload out the back, and it's a walk-in try, so I think the coaches will be very happy with the start there.
This Scotland A side looking sharp then, first attacking opportunity, and they've landed 5 points. We'll see if they can get the conversion in between the 5 and 15 channels. It's a left-footed kick for Edinburgh's Ross Thompson, and that's drifted just the wrong side of the uprights there as Thompson heads back towards the halfway line. An unconverted score, 3.5 minutes of the first half gone. Thompson's left-footed kick just drifting past that right hand post, and it remains Scotland in front by 5 points to 0. But for the spectators that inside the Hive, the perfect start then for the Scots from the restart kick, hoisted high down towards the edge of the 22 on the left hand side. A platform though for Scotland. They've won possession of the ball. Dobie again recycling, and it's up just towards the 15 channel on the edge of the 22. Dobie delivers the box kick. It's a flat one, not too much height on that, and then ends up in a pile of snow which was brushed off the pitch just a few hours ago. A fair few accumulations have built up as conditions have been really no better in the capital than they were in many parts of the borders earlier today. Here's a throw in though for Chile on halfway, opposite side of the pitch from our commentary position. It was a good line-out win there from Bruno Suez, the second row forward. Little delicate hoisted kick, bounces awkwardly there. Scotland on their full-back, Aaron Reid was coming through, reading the flight of the ball and the bounce well. And Scotland have it again just on their own 10-metre line. Right becoming central, little offload there through the hands of Ross Thompson. Little spin and turn from McDowell, the captain. He'll be eager to impress at this level and get back to full selection. Back it goes again. Scotland looking to offload there to Pelotu, doing very well. Exertion of pace now. Curry. On goes Scotland once more. Matt Curry doing well, comes in, he's able to pick up. He added some acceleration and pace into the move. Back with Thompson, delicate left-footed chip kick. That bounces just in front of the on-rushing players across on that far side. Into touch there. Now, of course, not the biggest in-goal area, and it's quite tight either side of the pitch there, and the accumulations of snow making it even more so. But again, Matty Douglas, real invention shown there from the Scots.
It's just really good rugby, Stuart. I think the way that they're able to pull that pass out that forward pod, and they're finding space in this Chile defence, and we're only 6 minutes in, and I think Pete Horne will be pretty happy at the way that they've started with their attack. It's there's real intent, but it's also very fast, and Chile are just struggling to get back on side, and they're giving penalties away, and it'll be a real opportunity to see. Steve Laurie will be keen to see if this line out can get over the line.
Yeah, it was Tom Dodd was the on-rushing blindside flanker down that left-hand channel, and he just couldn't get onto the end of Thompson's kick, otherwise he may well have been in for a second score. Line out for Scotland, 5 metres from the Chile line. In goes the hooker again, Hiddleston. Scotland supporters looking for a bit of power here. There's a few Chile fans inside the Hive as well. They're watching on anxiously as their troops under the cosh at the moment, trailing by 5 points to 0. Scotland again still in those final 5 metres between themselves and the try line. Dobie looking for a bit of movement towards his left hand side. It's provided there by Dodd. He goes to ground again. Dobie is able to pick up and recycle balls through the hands of Tuipulotu out towards the left hand side. Reid takes a sore one, but he remains in control. And Dobie comes in again. All the action still inside the 22 just now. Quick hands here from Scotland. They're certainly playing at a fair momentum just now. Chile, you would imagine, are going to tire as the match continues, because that has been certainly a criticism labelled at them in recent internationals. They tend to tail off in the closing stages. So this is demands early on for the visiting side. Scotland still inside the 22. Dobie has it once more. Again, Scotland looking for options for the ball carriers. Dobie reversing it back to the left hand side, and again they're coming in at different angles. Chile, a red wall in front of the Scots at the moment, just trying to protect their try line, as Scotland still trying to find another opening inside the 22. Dobie once more on towards McDowell. It's worked its way out towards Freddie Douglas on the right hand side. Almost loses his jersey there as the Chile fly half. Juan Cruz Reyes rips it from his back. It's back again with Dobie. He hurdles the ball, almost left the ball behind him there as he was trying to clear his way out of the Chilean players on the deck. Recycled again. Chile organise the defence once more. Scotland again coming wave after wave of attack in dark blue. They look to reorganise once more, but it's a steal from Chile, and that was good work there from Diego Escobar there, hooker. Now they look to try and settle, and it's played long downfield by Juan Cruz Reyes. The fly half, the ball bounces a couple of times in the Scotland half, and Scotland will look to try and build again. We'll get Matty's thoughts in a second as we watch Jamie Dobie now almost crashing into Alfonso Escobar, the Chilean number 8, as it's recycled, and Scotland, the momentum of the attack just drops ever so slightly as they once more try and build close towards that 10-metre line. Almost 9 minutes of the first half gone. Breathless stuff here at the Hive as Chile again are able to find a bouncing ball, a bit of space in their 22 and ping it down towards Thompson, one of 2 players in the Scotland half. Scotland, remember, playing from left to right in this first half. An offload from Reid, looking for a bit of space out on the right hand side is Freddie Douglas. The offload there found Ben Muncaster, he was bundled into touch, and once again the thoughts here of Matty Douglas.
Like we get our breath a bit there. Ball's been in play for 5-6 minutes, but both teams here to play the night. Scotland just got a poor turnover in the 5-6 metres out, and Chile kicked it downfield, and I think looking at it, Scotland will be a little bit disappointed not to turn that pressure into points, but probably enough for both teams to get their breath. As I say, both teams are here to play an exciting brand of rugby tonight.
Well, just going through this Scotland side, if you missed the selection that was made quite early on in the week, Aaron Reid at fullback, Matt Curry starting on the right wing, Tuipulotu and McDowell are the starting centres, so plenty of skill and pace there. Ross McCann starting on the left, Thompson and Dobie the half-backs. Jamie Batty is the only 30-plus-year-old player in this side, so it is a relatively young Scotland A side. So Batty is starting at loose head, Darcy Reyes tight head, Gregor Hiddleston is the starting hooker. The second row pairing, Marshall Sykes and Ewan Johnson, and it's a back row 3 of Tom Dodd, Freddie Douglas and Ben Muncaster. And you'll hear in the background there has been a replacement, Finn Richardson on for Darcy Ray, a head injury assessment, so we certainly wish Darcy Ray well, but he's been in the wars early on. Our match referee, incidentally, is from Italy, Gianluca Nicchi, and he's been certainly involved in this bright start, particularly from the Scots, marshalling both sides, and is on the move at the moment as Scotland again inside their own half of the field in between the channels, but penalised by the aforementioned Italian referee, and it's a chance for Chile inside the Scotland half to at least get some territory, Matty, and try and just change the pendulum very much swinging in Scotland's favour just at the moment.
You would have thought so. We've obviously got their coaching team next to us, and they were quite animated on that penalty. They're just needing to try and get into this game. They've defended for probably 10-12 minutes, and it's probably a time to now see them attack. And it looks like they've got some exciting players, a lot of these players involved in the World Cup last year, and they'll be disappointed with the result last week over in Amsterdam against the Netherlands. So it'd be interesting to see. They're going to take some points and try and get their scoreboard ticking.
Yeah, an opportunity here with the scoreline at 5-0 in favour of Scotland. And the opening try coming inside the first 4 minutes. Santiago Videla, the inside centre, is the man tasked with trying to get Chile's first points here at the Hive and reduce their ears. The penalty goal attempt close to the 15 channel between the 10 and the halfway line, hoisted high. Now, is it given it enough distance? I think the distance was okay, the angle just a little off, so he'll be disappointed that he couldn't quite have the radar switched on there, and a missed penalty goal attempt. Scoreline remains the same, Scotland leading by 5-0. the Chile squad, incidentally, 17 of the players ply their trade in their home country. There's 3 that play rugby in America, 2 that play in France, including Diego Escobar, who's involved in the top 14 part of Racing 92, and one of the players is also affiliated with an Italian club, so not quite an exclusive 23-24 man squad all the way over from Chile, which incidentally is basking in pleasant sunshine. If you were in Santiago right now, you'd be probably in temperatures of around 25-26 degrees just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon over there. Sharp contrast to the weather we've had over here. Scotland, though, in possession of the ball at the moment, getting up towards the halfway line. The defence led there by Alfonso Escobar, their number 8, as Scotland recycle it again, and it's another high up and under from Thompson. And that was a good take there just on their 10-metre line as Chile are able to win possession, but they lose it. McDowell was almost away there, the referee, though, penalising Scotland on the Chile 10, and a chance for the visitors just to breathe again, as they'll be pleased that having conceded so early, and the manner in which they did, and the manner in which Scotland started, Matty, that 5, 6, 7, now 8 minutes later, there's not been any further damage on the scoreboard.
No, there hasn't, and I think you have to be impressed by their physicality as well. When you look at the Scotland side, when you've got likes of Ben Muncaster, Freddie Douglas, players like this who were involved last week against Portugal, it would be quite daunting for a side to come up against that, and they've really fronted up defensively, winning a big penalty there, and again it's another entry into the 22, so hopefully they can maybe build a platform now and try and get some points on the board.
Of course, 2 Scotland-Chilean players are part of the IRB, well, what is now the Rugby World Hall of Fame. I think they were inducted back in 2012. 2 brothers, Donald and Ian Campbell. Their father incidentally played football, Colin Campbell, for both Argentina and Chile. But we'll tell you a bit more about some Scottish-Chilean connections during the course of the commentary when the opportunity allows, because Chile are on the attack at the moment. Videla, the inside centre, leading the charge into the Scotland 22. The red jerseys now with very much the attacking intent as they're looking to try and build centrally in the 22. Again supported there by the outside centre, Sadreva. Back it comes once more, quick touch through the hands there of Clement Sadreva, who's in the back row. He played in the second row against the Netherlands, giant figure, but they've opted for a bit more bulk in the back row and bringing him back to play at 7 today. Sees the outside centre, full back Strabuke is over the ball at the moment, but Scotland have forced Chile back closer to their own 10-metre line. Now the giant figure of Santiago Pedredo, the lock forward coming onto the ball. Looped pass out towards the left wing now, and an opportunity there as Dobie's across very, very quickly. Gareth Fluke just couldn't get into his running, and he was stopped pretty much on the edge of that 22. And Chile trying to be a little bit expansive in their play, and those here supporting the visitors will appreciate their efforts.
Yeah, a bit animated. Coming in tonight, there's a few Chile fans here actually, just probably forcing a few offloads there. The coaching team beside us are getting a little bit animated. You can see what they're trying to achieve. They want to keep the ball, build the phases, but again a silly offload. Scotland have just got such a great line speed in their defence. I think Pete Murchie will be pretty happy where that is, and it's an easy out for Scotland. They've got a scrum, and it'll be interesting to see this first scrum how the 2 packs go head to head.
And a couple of players we mentioned in commentary already, Clement Sadrevo and Alfonso Escobar, along with Javier Carrasco. Those 3 are now playing their 3rd match against Scotland. So although they're different Scotland players, they will get a feel for how this Scotland side is going to approach the game because of the symmetry, I suppose, that Gregor Townsend is trying to feed down the different age groups and the different brackets of the international game.
Yeah, for sure. I think looking at the way Scotland are attacking, it's very similar to what Gregor implements in tomorrow's game, the ability to have runners out the back, and Chile, as you say, a few of these players played in the summer against them, and then played in 2022 against the last Scotland A side, so they'll have approached this game knowing what's coming, but sometimes that's not always the best. So
yeah, I think 18 in all have had some experience against Scotland, but those three in particular now playing their third match against the Scots. You're not missing any of the action on the pitch at the moment. There's a reset scrum, a lot of effort going into it, but the referee not quite satisfied. Gianluca Nicchi just taking a step or two back, then walks back into the middle of the respective front rows. Quick glance at the clock, we've played almost 17 minutes of the first half here at the Hive. The crowd has certainly swelled just prior to kick-off. We were a bit anxious in terms of numbers. It won't quite match the figure that watched Scotland against Chile at Hampden in 1989 when the sides met in a 2-0 Rouse Cup match, and the crowd was 9,006 fans. To be a little bit less than that on this occasion this evening. Scotland A leading Chile by 5 points to 0. 17 minutes now of the first half gone. Little break in play, just allowing one or two of the Chilean players the chance to take a quick drink. Meanwhile, Scotland play the ball off the roofing just above us, and it will be a throw-in for Gregor Hiddleston as the match gets underway. Resumes with a line out towards the back portion of the line there, won by Ewan Johnson. Scotland again looking to try and build a platform between their 10 and 22 now. Dobie once more out towards a portion on that left hand side. That was taken on briefly, Hiddleston involved. He's on the deck at the moment again. Ross Thompson on the ground, a bit of space on the right hand side, and the anxiety, we can begin to hear the Chile coaching staff getting a little bit anxious as space begins to open up on the Scotland right. And again, Dobie doing brilliantly there, finding space almost in a congested phone box, but he was still able to get himself away. Offloaded again, and Scotland are now beyond that 10 metre line. A little bit stop-start, but Matt Curry's able to pick up. Now they've got a little bit of room outside there, but the referee bringing play back because there was a 2-on-1 situation opening up there. Freddie Douglas and Tupelotu were certainly trying to link up well, and let's just say that a couple of the Chile coaching staff along to our left hand side less than impressed with their side's defence on that occasion. Perhaps not all that impressed with one or two refereeing decisions that have been made in the first half so far, but almost 19 minutes of the first half gone. We'll hear again from Matty.
Yeah, I think we now know that this Chile coaching side are very animated, but Scotland, just Ross Thompson probably forcing that pass, but that's where the space was. Freddie Douglas lurking in an acres. The winger just, he jumped in, and all he had to do was stay on his man. So it'll be interesting to see how this scrum goes. I'm glad he didn't come to us and ask what that penalty was for at the last scrum, because I haven't a clue about scrums. So I'll try and not comment too much on the technical area in there.
Sometimes I think scrum penalties baffle a lot of people. So I think you're certainly in good and sizable company. As Gareth Luke again tries to take the ball up towards the edge of that 10 metre line. Another penalty for Chile, and the referee just signalling that Scotland in danger of going offside. The last player on his feet there, Gregor Hiddleston, back into Scotland territory, and we've now played the opening quarter of this international. An A international for Scotland. Chile delighted to be here, but very disappointed to have come to this match on the back of a narrow defeat to the Netherlands last weekend. A game I think many in the camp felt was one that they should win, was one that they would win, but ultimately was one that got away, Matty, and that's a wasp they've been tuned for a best part of a week.
Yeah, it is, and I think looking at the kind of sum up from last weekend, the changes that they've made probably reflects that, and moving players around, but it's probably one of those games that they've went into thinking they just need to turn up and win. So they'll be looking to stick a performance in tonight, and they've found a bit of space on the edge for the line out.
Videla cross on that right hand side, so the inside centre peeling off, acting as an auxiliary right winger. They're back towards the halfway line. Strabuki again, the fullback, looking to try and build something now, and it goes once more and taken on by Stadreva. This is the outside centre. And again, up towards the 10-metre line. Scrum half, Videla goes in once more, has a little look at his options. Gareth Luke again, just coming off his left wing, allowing himself to be an option. The ball carrier this time is Gurachaga, big powerful figure. And his run there leading to a Chilean penalty, just on the 10-metre line, fairly central. It'll be interesting to see what they do here, because certainly Videla had the radar on the last time. It was close but not quite plumbing in between the sticks, had the distance but just right of the right hand post. But this time the ball is going to be with Juan Cruz Reyes, and he opts to kick towards the left hand corner. So Matty, you're nodding almost in approval there that they're quite rightly going to have a go inside the 22 line out and test this Scotland defence.
Oh, definitely, Stuart. I think probably coaching hat on there. If you're going for touch, you've got the opportunity to get 3 points. You have to put it 5-6 metres out, and he's done that. And probably the last 10 minutes it's been all Chile. You know, Scotland have had ventures up in the other half, but they've just struggled to keep the ball. So Chile will be wanting to convert some points and get on the scoreboard.
Yeah, this is an opportunity here, an attacking platform close to the 5-metre line, but Scotland are able to get hands in the ball there. And again, Johnson and Sykes doing well in the line out. Scotland from behind their own in-goal area, or in their in-goal area, almost behind it. It was right deep and back, and it's a massive kick downfield, and Scotland give chase, and Chile have 3 players back, and suddenly Chile are just outside their own 22, and the near side assistant slipping and sliding on the surface as he watches on with intent, and Chile now looking to try and win the penalty. And Scotland will feel that that was an excellent exit from their point of view, because they were under a bit of pressure, but straight away the experience in winning the line out diffused the situation, you have to say.
It did, and again it's just frustrating by Scotland. They've done all the hard work there. It looks like he's missed touch from Jamie Dobie's got the opportunity to just bring a bit break and play, but Scotland done the hard bit there. Matt Curry, he must have kicked that about 60 metres, and they've just been a bit eager, and Jamie Batty's came straight in for the side at the ruck, and you know, you've got an opportunity to pin Chile back down, gain some momentum, and it's another easy out for Chile. Scotland just seem to be giving a few more penalties away than they probably want to.
Yes, the instructions now coming across. Front row forwards, very often it is the duty of the loose head prop there. So Javier Carrasco coming across, a quick word with Diego Escobar, who has that experience from the French top 14, taken on by Alfonso Escobar, the number 8, carrying it up towards that staggered 10-metre line. Chile have it once more, still inside the Scotland half of the field. If you're just joining our live coverage, we're delighted to have you with us this Saturday evening, live from the Hive in Edinburgh. 24 minutes of the first half gone, and it's Scotland leading by 5 points to 0. A try scored in 3 minutes, and Scotland have certainly had opportunities and forays into the Chile 22, but Chile are growing in confidence, and they're having a bit more territory and possession inside that Scotland half of the field. And Matty, you're sort of nodding away there almost in approval that the players certainly out there not overawed by this experience, and why should they be?
Exactly, why should they be? And you know, it's Freddie Douglas who's came up with the ball there, a big turnover, and when you've got players like Sahim, Ben Muncaster, Stafford McDowell, Aaron Reid, players who were involved last week, you know, just over the back of the stand at Murrayfield, it was a big penalty, and these players need to, you know, bring everybody on. There's a lot of young players getting an opportunity tonight, especially off the bench, so they've now got some territory, and again just a missed line out, in the hooker. That's probably the best spiral kicks I've seen by a forward in a long time.
It was played downfield and very nicely indeed, but suddenly an injection of pace now. Aaron Reid up towards the 10-metre line, over the 10, but clattered into very quickly Dobie in behind him, looking to try and recycle ball, but Marshall Sykes disappointed with the line out. He didn't connect with the Hiddleston throw in, but Scotland no damage done. They're between the 10 and the halfway line. Certainly food for thought for the Scotland coaching staff as we approach now 26 minutes gone. The chip kick forward, the chase is on. Chile are able to read the flight of the ball there, and that was well taken there by Santiago Videla, the inside centre. Back it comes again to their fly half. Cruz Reyes, long downfield, bounces once, rather awkwardly over the head there of Matt Curry, but he's time to adjust his position, and he plays that one right-footed downfield. Not a touch finder, two back inside the Chile 22. One of them is Juan Cruz Reyes, the fly half. Launches it high. And again, that's a tantalising effort. Underneath it is Dobie, takes it nicely. Offload on towards Reid. Reid looking dangerous, up towards the edge of the 10-metre line, inside the Chile half of the field. Central again. Dobie goes in very quickly, looking to ship the ball out. On towards Thompson. Grubber kick from Thompson, and that then trundles into touch across on the far side. And then is slowed up by the piles of snow. And I think one of the medics going to come on to the field of play just to ensure that Aaron Reid is okay, because he's certainly taken a few really sore ones and some solid collisions. 26 minutes on the clock at the Hive, and well, it's been a low scoring opening 26 minutes in that we've only had one try, but it's passed quickly.
It has, I think. When you look at it, Scotland came out the blocks very quick in the first 5-6 minutes, score on the board, but since then you have to give it to Chile. They've fronted up, the physicality's there, and they've tested Scotland. But you look at Aaron Reid there, broken field play. You can see how he got his tries last week. He's electric, and that's what Scotland need. Need to get to the ball, to the likes of Matt Curry onto the edge. We've not seen much Tui Pilotu in at 13 yet. He'll be looking to stake a claim and show Gregor what he can do.
Yeah, this very, very much an opportunity. It's a platform, it's a shop window for these Scotland players, and it's a great opportunity for Chile as well, coming to Europe at this time of the year, to be part of a sort of much wider, much bigger European autumn test series of matches, but to take on some Scotland players that have had some full international experience, well-blooded professional players that have been around the block and are pretty streetwise themselves. It's a good test for Chile, and they were more than delighted to accept the invitation to play at this level. And Hiddleston comes across as the ball was kicked downfield, almost directly opposite our commentary position, resulting in a throw-in for Scotland. Hiddleston, again, that was taken. I think it was Dodd this time that was able to win the ball in the air towards the back of the line, but a more successful line out across on that far side than the last one, near side certainly. And Scotland close towards the 10, ship the ball out then towards halfway. Again, centres looking to try and link up well with Stafford McDowell creating a little bit of space initially. Now McCann tries to battle his way beyond that 10-metre line, peeling off his wing, trying to be busy and active in that role. Taken on this time by Batty, goes to ground. There's only one Chilean player in his 30s, and he's on the bench. Mattis Dittis, we may see him a little bit later. Chile are playing a bit of football forward. Suddenly Strabuki's got an opportunity. If he can land it, which he does, an opportunist score if ever there was one. Chile are back on level terms. They're full back in the right place at the right time after a misunderstanding in a Scotland attack. There seemed no danger there for Scotland, and Strabuki playing a nice left-footed kick straight off the centre of the left boot, chased in behind the Scottish defence where there was nobody sitting back in the 22, and he's in for a score which levels things up, and the conversion is going to be pretty central too. So sensational stuff here in the half hour. 29 minutes gone, and Chile could well find themselves in front if their inside centre can land this kick.
Great try by Chile. I think Scotland will be in that huddle just saying keep the ball. It shows at this level, if you make a poor pass or a knock on, then Chile have just took their opportunity and off the break of the play. But you have to probably say that Chile deserve a bit of points on the board with the pressure that they've had, and Scotland now need to regroup. They're maybe just trying to force it, trying to get to an edge too quickly, show a bit of physicality, get over the gain line, because Chile are here to play.
Well, you were thinking it was one of those games where, with Scotland scoring in 3 minutes, if they were to land another blow and potentially a third blow in the first 10 minutes, would Chile collapse like a pack of cards, essentially, a house of cards. But to be perfectly honest, they were able to dig in. They've certainly interrupted the flow of the Scots, and they now find themselves on the half hour leading by 7 points to 5. And this Scotland team, as we mentioned, the shop window, well, this is certainly going to be a test for them and for the Scotland coaching staff, because this was not scripted. And all credit to Chile, because they've weathered the early storm, conceding only the 5 points, and Scotland have some thinking to do. They certainly know they're in a game.
They do, but you've got the experience there. You look at that forward pack. You've got players in there who can just pull the players in. Get them to get up Route 1, get some gain line, and then Stafford McDowell at that centre with Ross Thompson. They'll just look to try and control the game now. First and foremost, to win this line out and try and keep the ball in the 22 and build some pressure and test this Chile defence.
Yeah, Scotland certainly got a reason to hit back. Chile have got a reason, something now to hold on to, as that latest Scotland line out from this near side once again isn't tight. It comes back on the Chile side, on the edge of the Chile 22, just on the 15 channel. The referee was almost jockeying for position there as it comes back again towards the fly half. Juan Cruz Reyes bounces a couple of times, doesn't find touch though. Is picked up there by McCurry. Offload on towards Aaron Reid, floats a pass out towards the left hand side, and suddenly Scotland now looking to try and open things up on that far side. Tuipulotu was out on the left, unmarked, could gain some ground between that 10 and 22 on the left. Now it's Central in a similar position, taken on then by Gregor Hiddleston. And Hiddleston, one of the many Glasgow Warriors players in the squad, looking to make a name for himself this evening. Back it comes to Tuipulotu, half through there. Eventually caught and goes to ground just between that 10 and 22 once more. Scotland recycling. They have a purpose, a bit between their teeth now. Ball goes loose. Chile are able to pick up. They were able to dislodge possession there from the Scots. And Gurachaga, the tight head prop, on it very, very quickly indeed. And Chile again just looking to try and drop the momentum there. Back it goes towards Videla. And Videla's kick downfield can only find Aaron Reid. There's a Chile player down receiving a bit of treatment inside his own half off the field. We've got 7.5 minutes of this first half left to play. Chile leading by 7 points to 5 against Scotland A, and Scotland looking to try and get the ball up towards the edge of the halfway line. Dobie in, quickly looking to recycle, opting for the box kick, and that's going to land fairly close to the injured player on the ground just now. Play allowed to continue across on that right hand side. There is Cristobal Game. We haven't seen a great deal of the right winger, but he was across on that far side just now. Still play continues, but the referee, mindful he's getting very close to where the injured player is receiving treatment, brings play to a halt. A time chance for us just to draw breath. Matty, 6.5 minutes of the first half left to play, and from a neutral's point of view, not that there'll necessarily be too many in here, it's perfectly poised.
It's a great test match, I would say. I think credit to Chile. You've probably said Scotland started the game well, but Chile have really came into the game and defensively, where Scotland are seeing their gains is when they can fix that Chile defence in and around that third, fourth defender for the ruck, and they look dangerous. Tuipulotu, a couple of half breaks in there when he's getting on a half shoulder, but Scotland need more of that, and probably Pete Horne will be trying to get that message. When they play with intensity and they play with the word tempo is where they're going 2 second rucks, Chile just struggle to get any sort of line speed and momentum in defence, but handling errors and probably just making the wrong call. But that's maybe the sign of a team who are pulled together. They've never played with one another, maybe at their clubs, whereas Chile have probably came off the back of 3-4 weeks of test matches, and they're just showing a little bit more cohesion. But I wouldn't be worried for Scotland. They've definitely got the experience and the quality. There's some players, once they get that half gap, I can see Scotland really kicking on. But it's if they need to dig in, they need to front up and try and build a little bit more momentum going into this second half.
And of course we mentioned that there's many Edinburgh and Glasgow based players in this Scotland A squad, where there's 15 Cheltenham players in the Chile side, so 15 of the 23-24 that are selected, the 23 plus obviously the spare man, are part of the same team that play in the Super Rugby Americas competition. So there is a familiarity there, and that's been enhanced at international level, as well as obviously the familiarity playing at club level. But they will be delighted that they'll be mindful that 6 minutes separate themselves from half time and taking a lead in at half time, but they'll know the characteristics of one another well enough to know how to motivate these players. Just incidentally, there was a stoppage in play and the departure of Clement Dreva, he was the player we talked about earlier on, having played in the second row last weekend against the Netherlands, playing in the back row today. He's injured, and Raimundo Martinez has come on the field of play. Now, also, Matty, we're watching a replay of an incident from a couple of minutes ago. What's your take on it?
The referee, the injuries happened at the rack on the far side, but the way we're watching this, it's probably got to be a controversial call again, that kind of croc roll scenario at ruck time, because it's on his knee, and I can't see what player it is, but they're having a long look at the clear out, and it doesn't look good for here. It maybe is Aaron Reid, I can't really see, but they're probably looking at his actions at the ruck to clear out the number 7 who came off injured. So we know it's obviously quite a talking point the last couple of weeks, this sort of croc roll, grabbing and twisting action. So they're having a long look and a long debate. I wouldn't be surprised if something comes of this, Stuart.
Yeah, because again, the media attention, the attention on this game, the attention on this series, and the focus not just on the players but on the officials as well. So it's Gianluca Nicki.
Or is it Stafford McDowell? I can't actually see the number who's made that twist in action and kind of flopped on top. But it looks like he's speaking to Stafford McDowell at the minute.
Yeah, the referee,
yellow card.
The referee has shown a yellow card there to the Scotland skipper, who removes his gum shield, and with a look of reluctant acceptance, he makes his way across to the edge of the pitch. So the challenges are certainly building for the Scots, we'll put it that way. They trail just by 2 points, but they're now minus Stafford McDowell for the next 10 minutes. 33 minutes on the clock. Play will resume. There's another player in the wards, Santiago Videla, who converted the try from Lucia Strabucchi. That breakaway score, opportunist score from the fullback, who has possession of the ball at the moment for Chile. Chile in those bright red jerseys with the white numbers on the backs, royal blue shorts and socks, playing from right to left in this first half. And just about six and a half minutes now left until half time. And the kick to touch then just sails over the temporary stand over on that far side. Chile will have the throw in inside the Scotland half of the field, and with a man advantage and 2 points to the good on the board, they'll certainly want to take at least this scenario into half time if they can't better it, Matty.
They will. I think the coaching team beside us will be looking for them to try and gain a couple of points, maybe a penalty or another score before half time, but Scotland just need to regroup. It's a silly yellow card to give away, and it looks like they're going to give another penalty away here, so Chile have an opportunity to build a bit of pressure, which probably wasn't in the script for Scotland, and it's now how they react to it. Yeah,
I would imagine. We haven't had a glimpse of Pete Horn yet on the screen, but he'll be a man deep in thought at the moment, in charge of this Scotland A side. And Scotland A, remember, protecting a good run of matches, 7 matches unbeaten, stretching back to the Nations Championship in 2010. So at this level, Scotland, although matches have been infrequent, have certainly got an impressive list of victories under their belts going back to 2010. That was a nice kick downfield there think they're fly half this time using the left boot, and that was a kick into the Scotland 22, and a throw-in opportunity now for Diego Escobar across on that far side in the Scotland 22 against the 14 men of Chile. Scotland minus one of the backs. Apologies for the collision with the microphone there, as Scotland now having to defend this line out, and it was well executed from a Chile point of view. There's Pedredo, one of the lock forwards, along with Suez, able to win possession of the ball first of all for Chile in that bottom right hand corner. Bit stationary just now, but reinforcements beginning to come in, beginning to peel round the corner. Chile though have lost possession, and it's been a steal and an excellent bit of play from Freddie Douglas, who's certainly making a bit of a name for himself in some headlines in the last few weeks, and Douglas has helped Scotland escape at least down and beyond their 22, and in a situation like that, that was one of the best possible outcomes.
That's all you can ask for there, 5 metres out. I think it was well defended by Scotland to start with. They've obviously got a defensive plan there at line-out time, and Escobar kind of peeled away, and one man he probably don't want to run into is Freddie Douglas, and he's just ripped the ball clean away, and Scotland escape for the time being, but Chile again are putting pressure on this Scotland defence.
Bruno Suez this time doing well to win the ball in the line-out, trying to set up a platform on the edge of the 22, and again very quickly going in and taken on by Escobar, receiving the pass from Benjamin Videla, the scrum half, and of course we've got Santiago Videla, the inside centre, as it's once more the scrum half over the ball at the moment, and this is Benjamin, and he looks to find some room on that right hand side. It's prodded forward again, testing the resolve of the Scotland defence into that 22, and certainly Chile playing the last few minutes with a man advantage in the right parts of the pitch to try and add to their very narrow lead.
They are, and it's great defence there by Scotland, especially in the 22 when you're forcing a team to kick. Their line speed and their ability to make their tackles, but when you've got a back row and a forward pack like that, you just got to get work rate consistently. So Chile probably could have kept the hold of the ball. You could see that the coaching team, a few arms in there why they kicked it away, but Scotland now just need to set this line out, set a platform and exit, and you're probably looking to try and get to half time so Pete and the coaching team can get in there and just reassess.
Ian Johnson this time winning the ball in the Scotland line out deep inside their own 22, and Scotland will be looking for an exit. Thompson delaying it just ever so slightly, gets a potentially better angle and is able to hoist it forward left-footed downfield closer towards the 10 metre line than the 22, just fractionally over on that far side. Plenty of ball boys in attendance with towels to keep the ball dry whenever it lands, and patches of white snow that have been certainly cleared from the pitch and piled either side of the edges of the pitch to the left and right of the playing surface as we watch on. Chile though thought they had an opportunity to try and build once more from the 10. The referee calling playback though as we eat into the remaining 2 minutes of this first half. Of course, we did mention that the connection with Scotland and Chile in South America going back to sort of the early part of the mid part of the 19th century. We mentioned that connection with Colin Campbell and his two sons being inducted into the World Rugby Hall of Fame, and him being a footballer. But I think it was the main area of Chile they settled in was the deep south, the Majagas area of Chile, which is to the very far south of the country, and many of them settled as farmers, and now I think it's populated by a large contingent of Croatians. Apparently the largest population of Croatians out with Croatia itself is in the southern portion of Chile.
Interesting.
So I was reading earlier on today.
Manifact, Stuart, Manifact.
This is what happens when you're having to deal with a power cut and you have to go back to old-fashioned research. But the Magallanes region of Chile certainly can boast some relatively well-known Scots that would come under the diaspora title. As Chile again are looking to build from just outside their 22. Playback underway, but Scotland have managed to get a turnover here and they'll be mindful because they can see an electronic clock on that far left-hand corner as Dobie picks up. Tuipulotu takes the ball on. Again over the ball was the giant figure of Ewan Johnston protecting it for the Scots. Scotland again looking to recycle through Dobie. Dobie a little sidestep, but no way through for him there. Diego Escobar closing the door. The front row forward, the hooker doing well there from a Chile point of view. The 14 men of Scotland trailing by 2 points. We've now played the first 40 minutes. Pete Horn then will be preparing his half-time team talk as things stand. Scotland trailing by 2. Can they turn the tables in Chile right on half-time? They're recycling now between that 10 and 22. Back it comes again, central position taken on by Martin Seagren defensively, the captain, but still with Scotland. And once more it's Jamie Batty trying to work a position that he's slowed up. Dobie has it again, phase after phase, but the Scotland players unable to really get up and encroach into that 22. Dobie has it once more. Opts to go towards the left hand side. Tuipulotu this time. Suddenly the space down the channel. Scotland do encroach into the 22. Very close to the edge of the pitch. Dobie then reverses it back and they try and work their way infield. This time Marshall Sykes trying to lead the line. Scotland then looking now at the options just inside the 22. Close towards that 15 channel on the Scotland left. A minute now played over the regulation first 40 minutes. Chile looking for a steal. They managed to win turnover ball and then they play it centrally downfield. Juan Cruz Reyes. Back it comes now to Aaron Reid, much to the frustration of the Chilean coaching staff. A misunderstanding from Reid. The ball goes loose. It's picked up by Chile close towards the halfway line. Prodded forward again by the left foot of Vidala. And Vidala's kick there bounces once and into touch. The referee glances at his watch, mindful of the time, says we've reached the interval, and it's a low scoring first half, but Scotland opening the scoring with a try in 3 minutes look to set up a really bright and crisp start, rip-roaring start from Pete Horn's side, but very quickly extinguished by some determined play from Chile and an opportunist score from their fullback Luca Sarbuki, converted by the inside centre Santiago Videla, has certainly turned the tables in Scotland, who will start the second half minus the influential Stafford McDowell, because he's been watching the last 7 or so minutes from the sidelines, having been yellow carded. At half time, Scotland trail by 2 points. It's Scotland 5, Chile 7.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whiskey making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
With over 30 years' experience in print and embroidery, BE Uniforms are one of Scotland's leading rugby teamwear specialists. We currently supply many great clubs across Scotland and the north of England, offering brands such as Adidas, Macron, Canterbury and BE Sport. We have a specialist teamwear team who collectively have over 60 years' experience in the trade, delivering quality teamwear and finding solutions to the challenges out there. If your club is looking for a new supplier and would like to know more, get all the details at beuniforms.co.uk. Proud sponsors of Rugby Radio and Borders Rugby TV. BE Uniforms, your identity is our purpose.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Your pet deserves the best, and that's why your pet deserves the care and treatment offered by Border Vets. We focus on delivering the very best care to each and and every one of our patients and clients. We get to know you and your pet and offer treatments tailored to every animal's individual needs from our conveniently located surgeries in Galashiels, Selkirk and Earlston. Ask about our Pet Health Club for your cat or dog, giving you peace of mind by spreading the cost of vaccinations, regular checks and more. From dental care to travelling abroad and the whole range of veterinary services, bordervets.co.uk is where you'll find everything you need to know. Border Vets, where your pets are part of our family.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Welcome back to the Hive in Edinburgh from me, Hugh Brown, and this Scotland A against Chile match, which of course precedes the last of the autumn tests, which will be at the main stadium in Murrayfield tomorrow afternoon between Scotland and Australia with a 1:40 kick-off. But back to this evening, this Saturday evening, just gone 10 to 7, and Matty Douglas is with me, our summariser. And Matty, it was a low-scoring first half, but Scotland started out brightly with that opening try by Aaron Reid in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, they did. I think they started really well. I think the coaching team would be pretty impressed. I thought they built the first score. It was probably a replication of how Scotland are playing at the minute, taking the ball to the line and playing out the back. And when you've got somebody like Stafford McDowell who is so good at taking the ball to the line, he just attracts defenders. And it was a great pass out the back, and then a one-handed offload by Ross McCann to Aaron Reid. And when you've got players like McDowell, Reid, who were involved last week in the national team against Portugal, you would have thought it would have been a great start for Scotland, and you thought the way they were playing there was more points coming. But I must admit, credit to Chile, they've probably gave Scotland a bit of a fright, and have made them got something to think about.
They certainly couldn't capitalise on any chances. There haven't been a lot of scoring chances for either side, really, have there?
No, there hasn't, and that's probably just the way that both teams are playing. They're looking to find the width, exploit weak defenders on an edge, and in and around the middle of the park, both teams are really physical, and I've not seen much of Chile. I think they've played a couple of games in Europe the last couple of weeks, but physicality-wise, they've really brought it tonight. Really impressed by their pack, and Scotland are just struggling to find the holes at the minute, and they just need to kind of keep banging at the door, as that old saying. And I do feel Scotland have got the experience and the older heads in there who have got some really top test match experience, and a lot of them were involved in the Chile game either in the summer when the full Scotland side played them, and also in 22. So it's probably just Pete Horne and his coaching team will just be looking to get back to basics and replicate that first score. What works well for you, continue to do it, and hopefully you can get some positives off of that.
It was a pretty bad passing error that got Chile their score and took them in front. I mean, Scotland have made some fairly basic mistakes in the first 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think been a couple of handling errors, but there's obviously nerves tonight. There's a lot of these players who are either knocking on the door, who have been involved and get an opportunity, but then also young players who are wanting to get on the international stage. And I think the one that Chile took their opportunity, you have to say credit to Chile, they took it really well. But when you're playing as close to the gain line as Scotland like to do, one player who's maybe not at the right place at the right time, or one handling error, and it's really costly at this level. That's probably what a few of these players will have found. At test match level, you get very limited time, but you still have to perform that skill at the highest possible standard. And all credit to Chile. It was a great finish by the Chile player.
It was, yes. I mean, we've mentioned that this is the chance for these Scotland A players to stake a claim in Gregor Townsend's plans for not only for not for tomorrow, but certainly for the Six Nations come the spring. Have any of them shown that spark so far in the first half, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you look at the forward pack, the back row, Dodd, Douglas and Muncaster, really physical, and you can see why Freddie Douglas has been involved, and there's been a lot of talk of him, not played a game for Edinburgh, but he's showed some big turnovers in the game. There was one just before half time, stripping the ball 5-6 metres out, and then you take it to the back line. You've got Stafford McDowell, Aaron Reid showed a lot, but I think Matt Curry's been really, really impressive on the wing. He is a centre of trade for Edinburgh, but he's one who can kick, he can pass, he's got a great footwork, and there's a few of them will probably be disappointed they're not playing over over at the big stadium tomorrow, Hugh. You know, likes of Jamie Dobie, you know, Jamie Batty, Stafford McDowell, who played really well last week. So there's a few of them probably at different stages in their, you know, their Scotland career, and you know, I'm excited to see some of these replacements as well. And a lot of them, you know, haven't played for Edinburgh. You know, you look at Liam McConnell, Harry Morris, maybe one game. You know, Mikey Jones has had a game. A lot of these players have been playing actually in the Premiership, you know, dropping back down. You know, Liam McConnell's played for Kelso, Mikey Jones has played for Hawick, and Harry Morris played for Melrose this season. So they'll be keen, you know, they'll be nervous, but it'll be exciting to see if they can help the Scotland side kick on in the second half.
How important do you think, or how relevant do you think it is that out of all the players tonight in the Scotland squad, the Scotland A squad, there are only 2 players that don't actually play for Edinburgh or Glasgow?
It can only be a good thing. There's always been chat around the, you know, especially that sort of next level for these players, and you know, Super 6 was a great way to drop players from Edinburgh and Glasgow back in. You know, that's now no longer there. The Premiership is now a route that, you know, a lot of these younger players have to go through, but this is a great stage. You know, if you can get 2 or 3 Scotland A games, you know, I know the weather's maybe played a bit of havoc in the crowd, but you know, it would be great. Look at the games that Scotland A, for example, I remember when I was younger going to watch, you know, Scotland A against England at Netherdale. So it can only be a good thing for Scottish rugby that these players are getting an opportunity on the big stage, and you know, showing their ability, and gives you know, smaller nations like Chile the opportunity to play here as well. And yeah, I think going forward more of these is only a benefit.
You mentioned the crowd, Matty, and I think, you know, we had thought it might be quite close to a sellout tonight. The Hive holds somewhere between 7,000 and 8,000, I do believe, but actually I don't think there's more than a couple of thousand here. I know the weather has made a huge difference to that, but Scotland, particularly in a stadium like this, which is small and enclosed, really need the home support to cheer them on, don't they? Yeah,
any Scotland side do. You know that, you know, when Murrayfield's full, it's what an atmosphere over there, and I think you have to give a bit to the weather today. There's and to be fair, there's maybe a few people coming tomorrow to watch. So yes, would you want more people here? Absolutely, but at the end of the day, there's a decent crowd turned out. You know, they've been vocal, and there's been a lot of vocal Chile fans as well. You know, in front of us here when they scored. So I think they'll be pleased with the turnout tonight. But you know, if you got more games, you know, what's stopping moving it around Scotland, and you know, attracting these people who go and watch club rugby week in, week out. You know, the Premiership, you get some big crowds. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this kicks on.
It's a very good point, actually, Matty, because some people have said maybe this game should have been played in the Borders or even over in Ayrshire.
Yeah, like everybody's got an opinion and where it should be. You know, I can only think watching a couple of Scotland A games, or for example 20s games down in the Borders, Netherdale being packed out. You know, that famous Scotland A victory against England, you know, Stuart Hogg scoring that wonder try, and that's what attracts, you know, people to games. And for example, through an Ayrshire, if it was in the Borders, you would get sellout crowds at grounds around there, which all makes for an atmosphere. But this is it's a great setup here, and it's good to see, as I say, as many people coming out to watch, and it'll be interesting to see how the crowd gets on Scotland's side in the second half, because I think they'll need them.
They certainly do. What was your view of the yellow card for Scotland's skipper Stafford McDowell? It's actually very difficult to see it, even when we watch the replay on the big screen.
Yeah, well, to be fair, we were actually in a break of play for the injury, and it was just we saw the referees at the screen, and the view, as I say, it was on the far side for over here, but when you watch it on the big screen, it looked just one of those typical croc rolls. And there's obviously been a big debate a few games last week. You know, obviously we saw the Scotland game with a croc roll with Scott Cummins, and it was very similar. They just want to take away that twisting movement, because that's where you know, the Chile player did get injured. He twisted his knee, so you can see why they're trying to take it out of the game. It's a split-second decision. It's like anything in rugby. Everybody's got an opinion. Some people might have thought it should have been more, but it's you know, it is what it is, and the players know that. You know, it's not like it's a new rule or a new law, that's came in today. You have to be very streetwise and clever around that breakdown area now, especially head contact or in that twisting motion to clear a player. So it's a tough one. You've got a second in there to make your decision and your body height, your movement. So it's probably a fair call, you know, watching it back on the screen. And Scotland need to probably survive another couple of minutes until Stafford McDowell is probably key to this Scotland A side tonight. He's you know, influential. He played so well against Portugal last week, and he's knocking on the door. But you know, when you look at the centre partnership at the minute with Tui Polotu and Hugh Jones, it's a tough Scotland side to get into.
What do you think Peter Horne will be saying to the players in the dressing room at half time?
Don't panic. You know, that's probably the key message. Stick to the systems and structures at this level. You know, the players know exactly what to do in each area of the park, but they go out and express themselves as well. They're playing to a structure. They're creating space, and it's just about trying to kick on for there. And defensively, I think Pete Murchie will be pretty happy. I think they've, you know, probably didn't expect the physicality that Chile would bring, but they've been very good around the park, getting off the line, making their tackles, and it's just about converting, you know, possession and territory now, putting pressure on this Chile side, seeing what they've got, and trying to exploit holes. Scotland are really good when they get gain line. They play 2-second ruck, they get to an edge, and that's where the holes are. So Pete Horne will be looking for more of the similar, but give away less penalties.
Only 2 points between the teams. Can Scotland do it?
100%. I think the starting team, they've got the experience to, you know, next score will be crucial, and then the youngsters, they've got a point to prove when they come on, so it could be an exciting second half.
Well, you can share it with us here on Rugby Radio, live and exclusive coverage on the radio. So let's rejoin now our commentary team of Matty Douglas summarising, and our commentator for the evening, Stuart McFarlane.
Yeah, thanks very much, Hugh. And as you alluded to at half-time during your assessment of the first 48 minutes and looking ahead at potentially what's to come, undoubtedly there's going to be activity and fits and starts during the second half, with both sides looking to empty the bench. But Scotland, remember, starting this A international with a fair bit of experience when you consider Jamie Dobie now 9 full international caps. Jamie Batty, as we mentioned, the only player in his 30s involved in the Scotland side, but has 35 international caps. And of course plenty of club experience with many of the other players that have been perhaps in and around the fringes of the full international setup in relatively recent times. Chile as well, though, have got experience coming from South America, and particularly the first involvement in a World Cup just over a year ago, of course, in France, and how they want to try and build on that in the years ahead. Scotland then will certainly confirm any changes as and when they're made, but we do know that Raimundo Martinez was a replacement in that first half for the injury to Clement Sadreva, and of course that resulting in the yellow card to Stafford McDowell. So still 14 men for Scotland as the second half gets underway. A Scotland throw in just between the 10 and the 22, and Scotland slightly untidy, but are able to come away with possession of the ball back on the 10, forced back closer towards the halfway line. Dobie goes in once more, has a look at the options towards the right hand side. Remember, Scotland now playing from right to left in this second half in an all navy blue uniform with the white numbers, the white trims just around the neck of the shirt, and Chile of course playing in their red jerseys with the royal blue shorts, royal blue socks. And Scotland now, Dobie again beavering in, looking to try and make himself busy and available and finding some space and knocking a box kick trundling into the Chile 22. Chile have players back and they're able to turn and play that one down outside of the 22, down towards the 10 metre line. Almost 2 minutes of the second half gone, and that signals the return of Stafford McDowell. Scotland back to a full complement of players, and the scoreline remains Scotland 5, Chile 7.
Yeah, but you know, a bit of mistake at the line out straight after half time for Scotland, but they regained the ball, and as I said to Hugh, I think Scotland just need to get a bit of gain line, get a bit of territory, and play with a bit of intent. And straight off this line out, you can see how quick they want to play, and Chile just struggle at times to cope with that. But again, Scotland, just a bit of skill set error in the midfield.
Earlier in the year, Chile enjoyed a 44-14 win over Canada, so just trying to improve their positioning in the world rankings, as Dobie's box kick carries that 10 metre line again. Chile underneath the kick, under a bit of pressure, but looking to try and weather the storm. Scotland not starting the second half with quite the forceful intensity they managed in the opening 2-3 minutes of the first. Man on the deck just now is Marshall Sykes, and Chile will look to try and win back possession between their own 10 and 22, just on the left hand side. One or two members of the crowd getting a little bit impatient as the referee finally puts whistle to mouth and calls the decision in Scotland's favour across on that far side. And Scotland now beginning to look towards the bench. Stripton already on the field is Ben Afshar, so that will be an early change start of the second half for Scotland. So Stafford McDowell, having been on for the best part of a minute since his yellow card reached the 10 minutes, allowing him to come back on the field, now withdraws, and Ben Afshar is on the field. Now that will probably require Matty a little bit of positional changing, because I'd imagine is Afshar going to take on the scrum half duties, and that perhaps allow Dobie to operate on the wing as he's quite accustomed to, or possibly
fullback. I think
he is. You're right, because he's now going to fullback, and it looks as if Aaron Reid's going to be on the left wing.
It's an interesting call, Stuart. Taking your captain off a minute in after he comes back from the sin bin. So there's been a reshuffle. Matt Curry into his usual position of 13. Ross McCann's went onto the far wing. Aaron Reid moves onto our side, and Jamie Dobie at fullback. So a bit of shuffling.
Yeah, it has, and you wonder how much that was discussed at the interval.
You would have thought so. It's probably a bit of pre-planned, I would say. There might have been even a pre-plan before the game to do this. So change, and maybe change the way that Scotland will attack a little bit. Matt Curry more a player who'll try and get on the outside, and I'll be interested to see how Tuipulotu goes at 12. Will he be similar to his brother, trying to play the balls out the back and attract defenders? So there's obviously a plan, and the coaches, he trusts them. So it'll be exciting to see how they move the ball now. Yeah,
because as soon as McDowell re-entered the field of play, you could see that Afshar was readying himself to join the fray. So Afshar now is going with it, the tap and go. Finds Tuipulotu as the game resumes inside the Chile half of the field. Afshar once more. Now the backs looking to try and get involved there. The offload from Tom Dodd was on to Ross Thompson, taking the ball into contact there, recycled back to Freddie Douglas, trying to gain some ground. Afshar just in behind him, ball goes loose, but Scotland looking to still try and pick up, but penalty awarded to Chile as Scotland, in their haste, just don't quite have the radar fully switched on, and I think the brain perhaps just a little bit ahead of the body action there.
Yeah, it probably was. I think there was maybe a lack of support there in that ruck in the middle of the field, and credit to Chile, they just they went to counter ruck it and they've won the penalty. So it's a good win from Chile. Scotland just need to regroup now in their own half and get off the line and try and make some big hits and put some pressure on. But yeah, good start by Chile in the second half. They soaked a bit of Scotland pressure, and be interesting to see how they try and break this pretty very well drilled Scotland defence.
And after the ball slammed down in a pile of snow just down below us, it's been wiped and it's now in the hands of Diego Escobar, and Escobar's throw towards the front portion of the line. Chile now are able to feed it back there to Benjamin Videla, and the referee penalising Scotland again though, immediately from that line out. So Chile just taking a moment, taking a breath as they've got another penalty, and Scotland will be mindful as well. They don't want these penalties to rack up in this second half, and Chile going to go for the posts here, because this, given the earlier indication of the kicking ability of Santiago Videla, he certainly had enough distance on the kick. This much nearer to the posts, 15 metres in from touch, sort of almost level between, equidistant between that 10 and 22, and we'll see what he can do here as he places the ball on the tee. White strip band just around protecting the ears, and then, as all kickers do, going through sort of the deliberate pre-kick routine, pacing it back, sticking it at the chest, a few deep breaths, shoulders back, glancing down at the ball, This then to extend Chile's lead. Clean strike, that doesn't look too far away from here. Those alongside us like it, and Chile have added 3 points. And well, Matty, you mentioned that it was something that would be on their minds when Scotland were down a man just before the interval. Well, it's taken them 7 minutes into the second half, but they are the next team to score and they extend their lead 10-5.
They are. It'll be a happy coaching team just to the left of Stuart. It's probably a different play to what they looked at just before half time. Every penalty they kind of went to the corner, but at the end of the day it's test match rugby, and they'll be looking to just keep chipping away at that lead they've got. And it's now now Scotland now have to come up with something, and it's key that they get the next sort of points on the board.
Box kick delivered there by Benjamin Videla, and that's an awkward one as he scurries after it. Scotland were up trying to collect possession of the ball in and around that Chile 10 metre line. The assistant raising the flag across on the far side, and a number of the Chile replacements who've been warming up come back and sit just in the fold up chairs in front of us, find thick blankets to cover up and remain warm. They've got their orange bibs on with the branding from back home sprayed just across their backs, and the backroom coaching staff as well, many of them now carrying iPads, just going through the motions prior to a few more perhaps replacements being made in the imminent future, as Scotland then trailing now by 10 points to 5. Scotland A 5, Chile 10. 9 minutes of the second half gone at the Hive. Saturday night rugby. I'm delighted to have your company as you're listening in to coverage of Chile being awarded a free kick by an Italian referee from the scrimmage over on that far side. And there'll certainly be a test of patience for Scotland to try and just work their way back into this game, because they've certainly not had it all their own way, far from it, after a very bright start and an Aaron Reid try 3 minutes into the first half. Played downfield. Dobie now acting as fullback, wins the ball in the air. Again looking for the likes of Freddie Douglas to gain some ground up towards that 10 metre line. Back it comes again. Of course they've got options left and right footed kickers on the park. Thompson, a good left footed kicker himself, as the high up and under is gathered now, and Chile just down below us. Skarabuki, their try scorer, forced into touch there. He was very close towards the touchline, and just the number of players close to him forcing him into touch, that all resulting in that high up and under, that challenging kick there from Ross Thompson. But Scotland penalised, and Chile will resume the game as one of their players down on the haunches receiving a bit of treatment. Scotland watching on here as they trail by 10 points to 5, and Chile, certainly it's not a case of playing down the clock, but just they'll want to play their own streetwise brand of rugby at this stage.
Yeah, they will, and they'll be looking to win any sort of collision, any penalty in this half. And it was a great take by Cristobal Game on the wing. Scotland, good exit, great chase, but it was a two-handed catch above his head, and then Scotland give away again, probably just a little silly penalty to allow, I can imagine this time Chile will try and put this as close to the 5 metre line as possible. And the collisions, if they start winning penalties, they'll be getting the ante up, and Scotland will, they'll be starting to chase a game, and it's probably no position we would have thought Scotland A would have been in, 50, 60 minutes into the game, but they're probably going to have to try and, one, come from behind, and two, find a different way to beat this Chile side. And that looks what a kick into the this bottom corner just below us.
Into that 22, and certainly there's enough room here if Chile can get something of a drive on. It's certainly one where I'd imagine Diego Escobar will be licking his lips. Not quite in the 5 metre line, but he's relatively deep into that 22. They've won possession of the ball here, The drive through was from Martinez, the replacement. They've gained a bit of extra ground here. Now it's untidy and beginning to open out. You can see that Chile very deliberately trying to inject a little bit more pace into the move there, but just overcooking it slightly, drawn into conceding the penalty, and Scotland from their own 5 looking to try and take a quick one. Tuipulotu takes a sore one, but the offload is good, and down it goes. Curry extending Scotland's stretch beyond the 22, but no further than between the 22 and the 10 metre line before bundled into touch across on that far side. So after a better outcome from Scotland and good work from Tuipulotu and Curry, Scotland unable to get up as far as their own 10 metre line, and it's another throw in directly opposite our commentary position. Chile again will be throwing in 11 minutes into this second half. Assistant with the flag raised across on the far side. Escobar, then the ball above the head. Long throw in towards the back of the line. Suez takes it down, delicate from the fly half into the Scotland 22. Mark is called, and Scotland, having called the mark, can just take a breath, take the tap, and then play it from hand downfield. Bounces once, will bounce twice, won't find touch, finds the hands of their Strabuke, the opening try scorer. Nice little offload, almost in touch was Christophe Gamay, and he was eventually in touch. He was mindful, he was so close towards the line. I think he's taken a sore one because he's sprawled out now, splattered in that 22. So there'll be another stoppage in play, and this stop-start nature to the second half continues with 12 minutes of the second half gone, and this visiting side from Chile leading by 10 points to 5.
An exciting start to the second half. Chile are here to play. I think Scotland, massive turnover probably 4 or 5 phases ago by Freddie Douglas. I think he's had 2 or 3 now. We spoke about him a couple of times through the game, and just probably a bit of rush of blood, the tap and pass inside their own 22. Great hands by Tuipulotu. You can see why he's in and around this environment. So Scotland need to get some territory, get out their 22, and maybe try and start to tire this Chile side.
Freddie Douglas very quick on there. Yeah, that was one thing that we mentioned briefly in the first half, was in terms of the physicality of the game and just the exertions early on for Chile. Would it begin to take its toll in the final 20 minutes or so? Well, we'll get a better idea pretty soon, because we've played now 53 minutes as Afshar then hoists a high box kick which should land plumb on the halfway line. Aaron Reid was chasing after that. Afshar then in behind, but it's picked up by Ben Muncaster, the number 8. Floated pass out there from Thompson now on towards that right wing, and Jamie Dobie this time. Remember, he's no longer the scrum half, he's acting as fullback and sometimes as an auxiliary winger. He's a certainly very versatile player, and with 9 full international caps, his experience is going to be important as well. But the referee brings play back for an earlier infringement just on the edge of the halfway line on that left hand side. So Scotland, having knocked the ball forward, can get no further than just breaching the Chile half of the field, and back will come for that knock on, and play will resume. Chile, remember, leading by 10 points to 5, and with every passing minute there'll be more anxiety, because Scotland coaching staff will want a win, but they'll want to stamp some authority on the game.
You have to look at a performance when you're at this level, and it looks like Ben Healy's stripped ready to come on, maybe just change the dynamic of the game. But I know it was a knock on, but when Scotland actually moved that ball and got it to a width, they looked really dangerous. We said that at half time, they need more opportunities of that, and Chile, probably maybe their only downfall will be if Scotland can raise that tempo, is if they start to tire, is if they've got the quality to come off the bench. And Scotland, probably are looking at in the next kind of 5-10 minutes, they need something. They need just a bit of confidence to get over this line. But that's a huge scrum by Scotland.
Chile under some pressure, and coming off his wing just to support was Cristobal Gamay. We've talked a little bit more about him. He had a relatively quiet first half, but becoming more of an important figure in the contest in the last 2 or 3 minutes, such as his involvement, and across on the left hand side now, Chile up and just over the halfway line, but slowed up, and again recycling just the other side of halfway, reset, and they go once more in their red jerseys. In goes Benjamin Videla, the scrum half once again, just trying to work it up a fraction back inside the Scotland half of the field. Meanwhile, Scotland wait to make that change, and stripped and ready is Ben Healy, as Matty mentioned. He's certainly a player with a good long ranging kick on him, so that might be a factor as well, and just trying to open up and get in behind this Chile defence. The high up and under this time, and Cristobal Gami couldn't take it cleanly, but Ashkar now on his own inside the Chile half of the field. He's got to back himself. He's on and he's away past the fly half. He loses his footing though, but he's able to offload, and supporting is Tom Dodd, and Tom Dodd is in for a try which will level the game up. Tom Dodd, a good supporting run there from the blindside flanker, but again brilliant acceleration shown there by Ben Arshar, but he couldn't finish it himself. He waited, he looked around to his right hand side to see if a pass was on, but he couldn't finish it himself. But he waited and waited, delivering the pass as he was heading to the deck, and it was in the right place at the right time for Tom Dodd, the Edinburgh Rugby back row forward, to change the mood around the Hive with a try that has levelled things up.
Just a bit of individuality there for Ben Ashfar. He's picked off two forwards and right kind of just below us on the 10 metre line, and what a run. He had a lot to do, a couple of defenders to beat, and he came short, but that work rated Tom Dodd to be on his shoulder for the offload, and what a score, and that's probably just lifted, that'll help. The Ben Healy's now onto the park, it probably just lifts the mood of this Scotland A side, and next score for either side is crucial, and Scotland will want to now kick on, but that's it. Probably just spoke about it 3 or 4 minutes prior to that they needed something to happen, and it's took an individual to spark that, and it now puts Scotland on the front foot.
And there's some similarities if you look back at Luka Sarbuki's try in terms of the position he was in the pitch. He opted to play a little bit of football, and it was 2 excellent weighted kicks that carried the ball and him into the Scotland 22 and ultimately to that crucial try. But again, Afshar is backing himself when he was presented with an opportunity just in behind the initial defence.
And that's probably what Pete Horn and the coach team have said. You get an opportunity, just take it. And Ben Ashfar is taking that, and it was his box kick that got them the field position. And it's now, Ben Muncaster comes on with pace for the kick-off, and you can see a little bit of spark in the Scotland side now.
Looking down here, Ben Healy is now on the park, and Jamie Dobie down that right hand side, but that's played just downfield. But by the time it left the boot, Scotland were already in touch across on that far side, just on the edge of the 22. Another Scotland change, and Mickey Jones of Edinburgh making his way on, so another change in the front row, replacing the hugely experienced Jamie Batty, certainly at this level, adding an A international cap. So the scoreline is now Scotland 12, Chile 10, with the try converted, and Scotland now leading by 2 points. Scotland 12, Chile 10, the try levelling the match at 10 points all, and the conversion nudging Scotland back in front. So just confirmation, Michael Jones is on for Jamie Batty. Chile, I think, have made a couple of changes in their front row as well. Ben Healy now on towards Tupelotu, out towards the left hand side. Aaron Reid up towards halfway, has to cut inside, goes to ground. Chile again organising the defence. Scotland in through Afshar once more. Ball was juggled there by Freddie Douglas. Suddenly a different complexion on the game now, with Scotland leading by 2 points. And the referee just signalling the infringement. Chile this time being penalised close towards the 10. So Nicholas Garafulik is on for Cristobal Game. So we were talking about Cristobal Game, or I think it might be Cristobal Gami. We've used the 2 pronunciations there. We didn't get confirmation or one or the other, but he has left the field of play, and Nicholas Garfluke is on in his place. Meanwhile, Scotland will resume with a scrummage on the 10 metre line, Ben Afshar, who certainly did light up the Hive just a few moments earlier with that break from covering more or less half the length of the field before eventually laying it more or less on a plate for Tom Dodd to run in for a score. And remember, Scotland protecting a 7-match unbeaten run at Scotland A international level going back to 2010, so they're now back in front by 2 points, 12 points to 10. We've played an hour, so 20 minutes left. Afshar then squats down, head in line with those in the front row, feeds the ball into the scrum, looking for a bit of movement. Chile come away with a steal. The referee had already penalised the visitors, so Scotland will get the regulation penalty. Tupolotu applauding the efforts of those particularly in the front row, and Ben Healy is going to ping this one down from the 10 metre line. Now this will give you an idea of his range here, because it's quite a still night around the Hive. What mist we had a few hours ago is cleared, and Healy's kick takes us down close towards the edge of the 22.
Yeah, and as you see, Harry Morris and Liam McConnell come on, great for them. You know, players who haven't played a lot for Edinburgh but getting an opportunity tonight, you know, probably playing a bit of club rugby in the Premiership this season. So Liam McConnell, you know, an outstanding performer for the under-20s, so be great to see how he goes. And you know, Harry Morris, great confident boost, hitting his first line out. Oh, great line.
Morris again is able to feed the ball on and providing a good line there, and Chile though are able to steal and pick up the loose ball and battle their way up a little bit closer towards their own 10 metre line. They recycle ball, it works its way through the hands of their number 8 Escobar out towards the left hand side. Now they're trying to inject a little bit of pace, but one or two players a little isolated, but they're back inside the Scotland half of the field. A bit of an unconventional handling break there from Chile. And I think the referee has perhaps spotted that, yes, he's now signalling a Chile knock-on directly opposite where we are, so a bit midway between the 10 and the 22 on the Chile left-hand side, over on that far side. Scotland 12, Chile 10 remains the scoreline. We're into the final 18 minutes at the Hive, and it remains a very competitive international fixture. And I think a lot of the supporters, certainly they're not watching a procession here as Scotland heading towards another victory at this level. They're having to work for it.
They're having to work for it. There's not long left, and you know, you have to look at the last twice that Scotland A and Scotland have played Chile. It's been over 50 points or just around there, and at the minute Chile are really taking it to Scotland. But you have seen a shift in the, as a coach, what you want to see is when you bring a substitute on, is that level either stays the same or increases, and Scotland, probably the changes Pete Horne has made has brought a little bit of change in their energy and their intent around the park, and that's all you can ask for, is that players come on, give their all, but also take the team to the other level. And it has got to be an exciting finish. Chile feel they're in the game, and they'll be giving everything to try and come away here with victory.
And prior to Afshar's break and the try from Tom Dodd that really turned the tables on Chile, there was a period of the second half where it was beginning to get a little bit untidy, and that wasn't because of the substitutions, it was really because of the approach Chile were taking to try and disrupt Scotland's style of play, and they were wanting to play a bit themselves, which they've been able to do. So they've certainly brought a lot to the party so far, and they'll want a final say, I'm sure, as Afshar feeds the ball into Scotland scrum close towards the edge of the Scotland 10 metre line, chipped forward, gathered though by Chile. That heard the referee's whistle, and again watching on as Scotland have won the penalty just on their 10 metre line over on that far side. Chile again are penalised, and Scotland will have a platform, and again they've got the option of Ben Healy over on that far side. Healy now just backs away from some of his teammates, and they'll look to line up this kick from in between the channels and plays, well, safety first this time, finds touch back inside the Chile half of the field. 16 minutes to go, and it's still a narrow one, a close one. Scotland 12, Chile 10.
Yeah, it's a tight angle Ben Healy had to work for there, but they've got, you know, territory in Chile's half, and can Scotland build some phases now and, you know, try and extend this lead and you know, put the game to bed. It's a great driven maul here, and the penalty advantage comes exactly what they were looking for.
Yeah, they've got the advantage, and that was good work initially at the front of the line. this time by Liam McConnell, but it now comes back out and through the hands quickly now. An opportunity for Dobie. Dobie then up towards the edge of the 22, but couldn't find clean hands there as Ross McCann was trying to busy himself and get involved in the action, knocking the ball forward, but that was part of the advantage. So come back for the penalty across on the far side. And did you see what the referee had signalled the penalty for?
I think it was side. Again, sorry to any forward coaches, but I did think it was a side entry at the Mall. So I might be wrong though, Stuart. It's a guessing game. Leave the forward stuff to people who know what they're talking about. But again, it's a great kick by Ben Healy. But Jamie Dobie there. What an exciting player he must be able to have, as a coach, to have him who can play at 9, but then also, at test match level, to come in on the wing or now at fullback. And every time he gets a ball, he's got speed and he's exciting to see. So Scotland will probably try and tie numbers in here and hopefully, try and get to the width to find some gaps in the defence.
And he's certainly bulked up in the last couple of years as well. In terms of his physicality, as Scotland now inside the Chile 22, the bit between their teeth, leading by 2 points, 12 points to 10. Another try now for Scotland, and you think it could well be curtains for this Chile side. Scotland A then heading towards those final 5 metres. A clutch of players. I think they've got the advantage coming as well across on that far side. An opportunity for them perhaps to work it. They've got a little bit of blindside if they choose to use it. But the referee just brings play to a halt once more, and the power of the Scotland forwards and those replacement forwards again coming off the bench, fresh legs and fresh minds making a big difference, and Chile under the cosh for the first time in a while.
Probably the first time we've saw them give penalties away in that driven line out. They really struggled to cope with it, and Scotland trying to see what they're looking to do here, maybe even a tap and pass play here. So I think the message will be on, the next points is crucial for probably either side, and Scotland need to take this, make this count, and they'll go in close quarters here by the looks of it.
News of a sobering result for Wales in Cardiff as well, as Scotland pressing and probing this line. Scotland A on, it's an interception. They've suddenly messed up 5 metres from their own line, and it's an opportunity now as Chile are able to break up towards halfway, but no further. Now they need some reinforcements, but they've given away the penalty, most likely for taking the ball into contact without being able to release. But Scotland certainly were in a position there where I thought they were going to finish off a move. They had phase after phase inside that Chile 22, and then the interception, and Chile suddenly found themselves back on the halfway line, and that's how this match has quite often seesawed one way than the other.
It has, and I think Liam McConnell should be buying Ross McCann a pint after the game. It's a set play for the tap and pass 5 metres out, but McConnell, Chile read it, and the wingers read McConnell's pass, and for all your money you would think he would be home and hose, but Matt Curry and Ross McCann got back, and I think it was Matt Curry that maybe won the penalty. So a massive penalty for Scotland to win, and they're back down, Stuart, in the 22, and they'll be wanting to keep a hold of the ball here.
Marcelo Torrelabas and Rodrigo Fernandez are on the field for Chile for the closing stages. 12 and a half minutes of the match left to play. So yes, another sore one for Wales in Cardiff. We understand news of the final score. I'm sure Stuart will mention that at the conclusion of the programme towards the front of the line. Scotland then looking to try and get a drive on, having secured possession at the line out. And Scotland now looking to ship the ball through. Ashkar inject a bit of pace into the 22. They want better handling this time as the onrushing Tom Dodd looking to add to his try tally in the game so far. Still 5-6 metres from the line. Ashkar tries to pick up and work his way around the corner once more. Chile though are putting every man on the line just now. This has been an impressive display for a side in the mid-20s in the world rankings. A handsome win over Canada, but really disappointing disappointing defeat against the Netherlands a week ago, and they've certainly wanted to try and save face against this Scotland A side at the Hive this evening. Again, Scotland trying to press and probe their way towards the line. A glance at the watch, 11.5 minutes of the game to go. Still a 2-point game, but Scotland want to put it to bed now if they can. They're getting closer towards that line, peppering it phase after phase here. They spread the ball out towards the left hand side. Dobie has it now inside the 22. Dobie, the loop pass just over the head there of Aaron Reid, who is hugging the left touch line. If it had been closer to head height, Reid would have been able to gather and literally dot it down, but it was just above his height, and he jumped his full frame and with the arms above the head, but he just couldn't be able to gather the ball in. And Chile survive on this occasion as Scotland go to the bench and bring on 3 more pairs of fresh legs, and it's Scotland still in front by 12 points to 10 with 11 minutes of the game left to play.
It was better passage of play for Scotland, probably the first time we saw them go route one and build phase after phase, and it probably was the right option to pull the trigger and come out the back. Healy played a lovely ball to Dobie, but just that last pass, and it's probably been a story of the night for Scotland, just little either knock-ons or passes not going to hand, and Aaron Reid was in an acre of space in the pass, just over his head, but probably the pleasing thing, Scotland are still in the territory. They're 5 metres out. Can they put pressure on this Chile line out, because they'll be tiring, they will be finding it tough now. Scotland are putting a lot of pressure, and it's not straight.
They opted to go long there, didn't they? The line out throw from Chile, looping throw. Santiago Videla, the inside centre, was way back beyond the jumpers. He gathered the ball in, but we couldn't tell initially how straight it was until we saw the referee's call with the signal to say it was a squint throw. So it hands the impetus back very much to Scotland and to Ben Afshar, and Scotland will have now a scrummage on the 15 channel, 5 metres from the Chile line. They've got a little bit of blindside then to work with. 15 metres in from touch. Playing on the left hand side is Aaron Reid, who started at fullback. The referee though just taking his time as the clock continues to tick down. 10 minutes of this international left to play. And Scotland then now going for the corner. Line out as called. Scotland going then for the throw in at the line. Towards the back of the line. Clean take. Scurrying in goes Harry Morris. Back to where would have had a regulation set piece. Scotland again looking to try and create something, and it's been a penalty try awarded as the referee raises the arm and goes underneath the posts, and he'll go to the pocket, and Chile will be down a man. They will go down to 14 men, and that will mean that for the conclusion of this Scotland A international, Chile will be down to 14 men. Scotland will see out the match, you would imagine now, leading by 19 points to 10, having scored the penalty try. Not the fashion in which they would want to extend their lead, but pressure paying off, and opting to go to the corner. Line out after Chile having thrown the ball in, not straight. Scotland's throw in was cute, drew the foul, drew the yellow card, drew the penalty try, and that should be now game, set and match for the home side.
You would have thought so, Stuart. I think Scotland deserve that. They've definitely increased their tempo and their intent in the second half as Chile regain it. Ben Healy.
Yeah, Chile just playing the ball down in between the 5 and 15 channels there, and it just coming back off the railings just at the back of the in-goal area. And one or two members of the Chile backroom staff now, they'll certainly not want it to get any worse than that. It was Raimundo Martinez who was a replacement, I think, right at the start of it would be the end of the first half. It was the incident involving the yellow card to Stafford McDowell when Clemente Saavedra was taken off injured. Well, Raimundo Martinez came on as the replacement player, and he subsequently has been yellow carded. Meanwhile, back on the field of play, there's going to be another scrummage. Afshar readying himself to feed the ball in to the scrum. 7 minutes of this international left to play. Afshar directly opposite where we are. Spectators staying to the finish. A 9-point game. Scotland A 19, Chile 10. And it's been a sticky night for the Scots, but can they add to their tally of Tuipulotu now? Finds his way through the initial line of visitors' defence there, up and over halfway. We've seen him gallop into Green Plain on a few occasions. That the easiest passage through some Chile defensive players, but the referee will bring play back into Scotland territory. Penalty was awarded, and he calls play back. And I would imagine this will be something we'll see increasingly between now and the end of the game, because I think it's now well and truly won from a Scotland point of view, with Chile down to 14 men, and the margin of the lead is now 9 points. But Scotland will want to add to that without question.
They will, and I think probably the other real positive is that he's now emptied his bench, and there's a lot of players who haven't had a lot of pro experience getting an opportunity to play in the Scotland A shirt. So as I said, I think Scotland have turned the screw in the second half. They've took their opportunities when given to them, and they'll be wanting to finish the game on a high and trying to get another couple of scores. And Chile down to 14. If Scotland can get on the front foot, there will be spaces, and it'll be interesting to see if Ben Healy can try and identify them and give this crowd something to cheer about in the last kind of 6-7 minutes.
Remesco Chimino is now on for Chile for the final few minutes, and another replacement in the forwards for Chile. I think they've now pretty much emptied the bench. Raimundo Martinez wearing the 19, sitting watching on in one of the plastic chairs just in front of us. Wonder if there is any opportunity of him getting another run out before the conclusion, but his infringement and yellow card shown just as we were coming into the final 10 minutes of the contest. And we've now eaten into about 4.5 minutes of his time on the sidelines. So plenty of food for thought, and we hope to hear from the Scotland camp at the conclusion of this A International, and it does appear that Scotland will be able to increase their unbeaten run at A International level, and that would take it on to 8 matches, going back, as we mentioned, to 2010. So a set play, a scrummage over in that far corner. Referee just backing away, as there'll be some wearied players out there, particularly those Chile players that have been on since the beginning. There'll be no question of their commitment in this match, and that, while it's not been the result they've been looking for, I think they've perhaps answered a few questions that were laid on their doorstep after the disappointing defeat to the Netherlands a week ago, as they tried to find some room down the blind side from their own scrummage up towards the 10 metre line. Ball goes loose, gets a little bit untidy, comes back, and Scotland will want to find a turnover opportunity if they can, but Chile winning the penalty, and they will look to try and find this platform to attack back inside the Scotland half off the field once more. 3.5 minutes of the match left to play. Back into the Scotland half we go. Chile will have the throw in over on that far side. Augusto Boehm is the replacement hooker, and he will look to throw the ball into this organised line out, and again he's able to find the back row forward there, Martin Sigrin. Chile winning the penalty as Scotland infringing in the line out, so they'll not want to rack up too many penalties as Chile have another opportunity to kick, this time into the 22, and that's how you gain territory, I guess. Matty, you'll have seen it so many times before. Don't give away a penalty and then make matters worse by infringing moments later.
It is. It's that roller coaster effect that when you're under pressure, you tend to give one penalty away, and then you're on the bad side of the referee, and then the next one line out playing in the air. So Scotland have probably just mounted pressure on themselves, and Chile will want to finish this game as strongly as possible. The coaching team next to us will probably be disappointed that they're still not in front, because they've shown a lot tonight, and it'll a bit of character now by Scotland to keep them out and see this game to the end.
Well, they're able to win the ball in the line out. Scotland putting on a resolute, solid defence here as Chile just trying to work it round the corner and scooping the ball towards that left-hand side there. And the replacement scrum half, a little misunderstanding, I think, through the hands as his teammates were not quite ready for his thought process, and the passage of play breaks down. Extra ball is on the pitch. The referee having a word with the Chile skipper at the moment. One of the Scotland players receiving a bit of treatment. Certainly there's not been too many stoppages in the game for injuries, which has been a good thing. One or two knocks, and obviously the injury to Clement Sadreva leading to the yellow card for Stafford McDowell. But other than that, it's been a clean international, and it's been a well contested near 80 minutes, 90 seconds away from playing the full 80. And it's back with Scotland now inside their own 22. Afshar again, rolling it back to the studs of the right boot, knocking it forward. 2-3 players back inside the Chile half of the field, trying to avoid it going into the snow, trying to find some space to run up and just over their own 10-metre line and look to recycle once more. But Scotland have got a solid defence just between halfway and the 10-metre line, and Chile look to recycle again down their left-hand side. Gets a little bit untidy. I think their minds are beginning to tire a little bit. Passes going forward, knocking the ball forward. A minute of the match left to play. Unspectacular Scotland doing enough to keep this A-level international unbeaten record going, but I think they'll certainly have a few more questions to answer, and Pete Horne will be pleased with the win, but one thing he'll know a bit more about his players now than he did 80 minutes ago.
I would say so, and it's always sort of that case when you're trying to gel a team. They've had a week together, and in patches they've played very well. They've been under the pressure probably most of the first half, but I think you do have to give credit to them. They've really turned the screw in the second half, and when they've needed to take their chances, they've been some individual top performances. And yes, coming, would you maybe expected 40-50 points? It hasn't been that, but it's been an exceptional game. It's been end to end, and Scotland will be wanting to try and finish on a high, but Chile are away. Interception, and suddenly Chile have half the length of the field to run into, and it's the replacement Garafluki. Nicolas Garafluki is over underneath the posts for a score. Another breakaway try. Not for the first time. Chile have been sharp when presented with half opportunities. Now that is in quite contrast to what I said just moments ago. Other minds beginning to tire. Are they maybe beginning to feel, and show signs of fatigue? Well, they were very, very sharp there. And Nicolas Garafluki there was very, very quick off the mark. The number 23, one of the replacement wingers, running down the heart of the pitch. And the conversion is good. The referee signals we've reached the conclusion of the game. 19 points to 17. And my goodness me, who would have predicted Scotland A victory, but a 2-point game in the end. Plenty of talking points, and Matty, almost a silence around the Hive at the conclusion of that, because that was almost a try you'd see in a sevens match. Well, it was, and we probably had one similar by Chile in the first half. Just that, a drop pass, and as I said at half time, at this level, if you give a team, a mistake in front of them, they will capitalise on it. And credit to Chile, they've played right to the end, and Scotland just probably showed a little bit of lack of concentration to give the ball away. But it's a win for Scotland A. I think performance-wise, maybe wasn't their best, but they've worked really hard in the second half. They've had to, that old saying, they've had to dig out the win, and there's a lot of players in there who more than likely will see featuring in the Six Nations in February-March time.
Freddie Douglas, we understand, has been awarded the player of the match. The Scotland and Chile players then just congratulating each other on a very competitive 80 minutes of rugby, and Hugh Brown will be patiently waiting to try and get a word with certainly one or two members of the Scotland camp, and we'll get some reflections on that. Of course, attentions then turn to the full international in the main stadium, and we're just alongside the main ground, of course, in the Hive this evening, but inside Murrayfield tomorrow afternoon, early afternoon, Scotland will play Australia in the final of the 4 full international matches played this month. But for Chile, it's a memorable evening for them, coming to the Northern Hemisphere, taking on some experienced Scotland players and going toe to toe with them for a full 80 minutes.
Yeah, exactly, and just kind of taking in these Chile fans in front, making a bit of noise. They probably wore their heart on the sleeve tonight. They've probably had a bit of word through the week with their performance last weekend against the Netherlands, and I think they've came here tonight, played a really good brand of rugby, took their opportunities. There were more mistakes than actually building scores, but they'll be pleased with that. But hats off to the Scotland A side. They've had to win it in a different way than probably most of us would have expected, and Pete Horn will be really happy with it, the way that they fronted up in the second half. Some really good individual performances, and it's probably only the start for this A side. They'll be keen to try and get a few more games under their belt, and it can only be good for Scottish rugby, Stuart.
And for a team like Chile as well to take on a level of opposition like Scotland A is probably much more meaningful in terms of their development. It's a better level of opposition, you have to say, because we did touch on these players. Not all of them are going to be regular starters for either Edinburgh or Glasgow or their respective clubs. Some have international experience and will certainly be involved in wider Six Nations squads coming up, I'm sure of that. But this is a good level for them to develop, because they're not coming in to face a side inside, say, the main stadium and then racking up a 60, 70, 80 deficit, which is not necessarily going to be beneficial for anybody.
No, exactly, and I think you have to remember that this Chile side were at last year's World Cup. They've played some top opposition in the last year. A few of these players in the Scotland A side, as we spoke about, haven't even pulled on an Edinburgh or a Glasgow jersey, and it's great for bringing them on. But then you blend it with experience players who, Jamie Dobie, Freddie Douglas, Muncaster, these sort of players who have played this season for the full national team. So there'll be a lot of learnings for the Scotland A group, but Chile, pat on the back to them. They'll take a lot away for this game, and I don't know what their fixtures look like when they start to go into qualification for the next World Cup, but they'll take confidence, and you can see by how animated their coaches were, very close to them. They probably feel that they could have won that game and had opportunities to win it, but Scotland have dug it out. They've had to go probably more deeper than they thought to get the win, but yeah, a really exciting test match, and both teams playing, which is what we want to see.
Now, a few people might say, but it was a bit of a smash and grab, 2 tries from Chile's point of view, but they had to have the players there, and they had to capitalise on the mistakes that were made by the Scottish players, because it's one thing, being in the right place at the right time, but you've got to have an element of a capacity within you to be able to finish off a move, an opportunity.
Well, they do, and I think that probably sums up what you're saying. Right at the end, that they're still in the fight. They're still looking to, finish the game off well, and at 81 minutes or whatever it was, a mistake, and the substitute goes in under the post. And it was the same with their first try. They put real pressure on that Scotland backline, and we spoke about the way that this A team have mirrored the national team, the way they want to play and attack, the little pulling out the back of the pods of forwards and being able to get into the wider channels. And for large parts of the game, Scotland achieved that, but Chile, physicality wise, matched Scotland tonight, and that's probably the big part of why Scotland didn't get too much line breaks, because Chile were that explosive off the line and put real pressure on that Scotland attack. And again, could it be that Scotland didn't expect that? Maybe thought they would get more gains off of their attack, but yeah, I think both sides have put in a great performance, and you know, the Chile group will be, I think they'll be exceptionally pleased with their performance tonight.
Just watching a replay of the Ben Afshar break, but 13 minutes, 14 minutes into the second half, which led to the Tom Dodd score, a marvellous break from the replacement scrum half, and somebody that again is taking opportunity off the bench to come in and play almost an entire second half of the international, because he then replaced Stafford McDowell at the start of the second half, and then that really signalled the start of the Scotland changes off the bench. But you look at this match-up and think to future World Cups and the discussions over a tiered system, where if you did have a two or three-tiered system and had the likes of Chile playing Canada and playing Uruguay and playing, you know, opposition of a similar level to that, much more meaningful for them, their supporters, and if there was a world prize at the end of it for them, you would think it would be perhaps more worthwhile taking part in the competition.
I would think so, and you look at the players that Chile have got. There's a lot of a lot of top quality performers in there. There was a few players stood out tonight, and as you said before, that there's 14 or 15 of them playing at the same club, back in South America. And when you see this, when they come to a World Cup, there is a big gulf at the World Cup. When you look at Chile last year in their group stage, they had Japan, South Africa, England, and it was big, heavy defeats, but it's an experience to be there, and they probably want just more meaningful test matches building into that. And and then on the flip side, to have a Scotland A side gives players back here in Scotland an opportunity to test themselves at that next level above the club game, the pro level, sorry.
And of course, as a nation, if they're agreeable to this, there could be in time a greater exodus of players leaving their own country. While you don't necessarily want it to weaken your own domestic league or South American league, but if they get European experience at a high level, that could be beneficial for them at international level, if they're able to remain as Chile international players rather than have this sort of dual citizenship.
Well, exactly, and I think you look at like Georgia, teams like that even the Spanish side now, there is a lot of players playing either in France or here in England, and it only benefits them. They'll bring a bit of experience, yet the cohesion side many players are playing back home, but the only way that they'll improve is by playing at the highest level possible they can, and it'll be up to the coaching team of how they gel that when they come into a camp. But at the minute, I would say Chile are in a pretty good spot after probably a disappointing defeat last week in Amsterdam against the Netherlands, so they'll only improve, and I think their goal will be to make the next World Cup.
Yeah, Saturday night from the Hive, Scotland A continuing their recent unbeaten run, a stretch of 8 matches, but by goodness me, they suffered a scare this evening, losing out in the first half to Chile by 7 points to 5, turning it round in the end, but 19-17 was the final score, and certainly Chile with 2 opportunist scores, one in each half, the second coming right on the stroke of full time, certainly changing the complexion of the final scoreline and giving the Scotland coaching staff plenty to think about. Now, just keeping an eye on Jamie Dobie, who's been one of the players involved in some post-match interviews. We'll see if he's going to make his way up here and talk to Hugh Brown, who's patiently waiting to speak to members of the Scotland coaching staff. So we may well be hearing from Jamie Dobie in a few moments' time. Of course, just a reminder, Scotland against Australia tomorrow afternoon, a 20-2 kick-off, that concluding the full international series of the matches. We are in the shadows of the National Stadium, and that of course will be in the main arena tomorrow. And Hugh Brown is now shaking hands with the Scotland number 9, the versatile Jamie Dobie.
Jamie, that was a close run thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. A really tough match out there, and fair play to Chile. They really stuck in it for the full 80, and obviously getting that score at the end. Fair play to them, credit to them for the way that they stuck in the match, the pressure they put us under right throughout that. And yeah, obviously a really tough match for all of us involved.
They must have given you a bit of a fright when they went ahead.
Yeah, I think obviously we started the game fast and scored, and obviously in the first couple of minutes, and then I think we struggled after that to get our attack going. And to be fair to Chile, their defence was solid and they put us under a lot of pressure. That combined with our ill discipline, we probably put ourselves under a bit of pressure as well. But yeah, we knew they were going to be a tough team. Having played them in summer, they showed some glimpses of that, and I think they put that out there for the full 80 this time. Combined with the matches that they've played recently, we know they are a strong team that's building nicely, and I think we saw the best of them tonight.
You lost your skipper, Stafford McDowell, for a yellow card 7 minutes from the interval. That was a big blow for you. Yeah,
obviously. Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, always tough to lose a player to the bin, especially when he's Stafford skipping the team and such an influential figure in the team that we've got. But I think the boys adapted well to that. And yeah, fair play to Chile. They put us under pressure, and that's what ultimately led to our ill discipline, and it ended up with a yellow card. So yeah, I think we reacted well to the yellow, and still put out some of our good attack in that.
Would you rather have been playing tomorrow against Australia, or are you happy enough to be playing tonight for Scotland A?
I think it goes without saying. Obviously, I'd love to be playing in the big match tomorrow, but to be honest, personally, this has been an awesome autumn campaign. I've been involved in the 3 tests so far, and every opportunity to pull on this jersey is awesome, and especially to get a full 80 minutes. Obviously, I've played off the bench the last few weeks, so tonight was a different opportunity to play from the start, and then obviously in a different role at fullback towards the end of that game. So yeah, obviously I was disappointed not to be playing in the match against Australia tomorrow, but the opportunity that tonight presented for a lot of the boys, myself and Stafford and Jamie Batty, boys like that dropping down from the squad, combined with some of the young boys who have yet to see game time for the clubs, I think was an awesome opportunity. We spoke a lot about that during the week, so yeah, I was happy to be able to represent Scotland in this manner tonight as well.
And do you think you've done enough to force your way into Gregor Townsend's plans for the Six Nations in the spring?
I don't know if that's for me to judge. I would obviously love to be in the picture for the Six Nations, and I think I've put my best foot forward in the games so far, the last 3 weeks and at training. So obviously it's now time to head back to the clubs. We've got some massive games coming up with our European campaign kicking off, as well as obviously the 1872 Cup derbies. So there's some big rugby to be played in the next sort of couple of months before start thinking too much about the Six Nations. But obviously that'll be in the back of the mind for when we go back to clubs. I'm sure there'll be a lot of boys that'll be keen to get in that squad and get playing.
There's some blood on your shirt just at the saltire at the neck there. Is that yours or someone else's?
I couldn't even tell you. I think I got a wee burst lip at one point, but it was a few boys with a bit of claret running. So always shows sign of a physical game, and I think that's what we got. And fair play to Chile for bringing that for the full match.
Good luck to you and the Glasgow Warriors in the coming months, and we'll see what happens in the spring. You have to say a win is a win, Jamie.
It is indeed, and thank you very much for that. Thanks for all the support.
Thanks for joining us on Rugby Radio. There we are. Thank you very much indeed, Jamie Dobie. And that concludes our coverage from the Hive this Saturday evening. A reminder that the final score here was Scotland A 19, Chile 17.
My thanks to the team today, Stuart McFarlane, Matty Douglas and Hugh Brown, of course. No club games today, unfortunately, because of the weather, but there were some international matches taking place. Ireland 52, Fiji 17, Wales 12, South Africa 45, and in a couple of minutes' time, Italy will be hosting the mighty All Blacks New Zealand. And of course, tomorrow, Scotland against Australia at 1:40, followed by England against Japan. Well, my thanks, as I say, to Stuart McFarlane, Matty Douglas and Hugh Brown. Next week, we should be back to normal on Saturday with live commentary of Curry versus Ayr and Jed Forrest against Gala, plus full coverage from other games as well. But for now, from me, Stuart Cameron, and the team, a very good night.